At around 10 that night, on October 12, 2023, Irina Garcia went to bed in her apartment at the Amelia Oaks complex in Hialeah, Florida. She was still recovering from a C-section she had undergone just 2 weeks earlier on September 29th when she gave birth to her daughter Ashley. Irina was also the mother of 13-year-old Derek Rosa. She was raising the newborn together with her husband, Frank Ramos, who had become Derek's stepfather. That night, Frank was not home. Relatives later said he was somewhere in Georgia working as a truck driver on the road. While Irina got ready for bed and cared for the baby, the night seemed to come to a quiet end. By all appearances, it was just a normal, peaceful evening. Doorbell camera footage showed Derek leaving the apartment earlier that night around 8 o'clock and then coming back a short time later. Near the front door, the two of them had a brief conversation in Spanish. Calmly, Irina told her son not to run out of the apartment again, and he agreed. The video also briefly captured Irina herself sitting near the entrance holding the baby in her arms. By 10 o'clock, Derek had also gone to sleep. What exactly happened over the next hour and a half is still unknown, but shortly after 11:30, Derek called 911.
Can you bring the police over here where I live?
What is your address?
I don't know my address.
Derek told the dispatcher that his mother had been stabbed. He said the knife was in his room, and when the operator directly asked if he was the one responsible, the boy answered that he had killed his mother.
Are you by yourself with your mom?
Yeah, no, my baby sister's here too. She's sleeping.
I need to know if your mom is breathing.
She's dead, miss.
Okay, and what did you do then?
There's blood all over the floor.
I need to know that you don't have any guns or any knives with you.
There's a knife in my room and there's a gun in the living room.
Okay, I need you to stay away from them. Can you put them in a safe place away from where the officers can see them? I need to know, do you think we can help your mom?
Miss, she's dead.
The 8th grader told the operator he was searching through his mother's drawers looking for a paper with their address on it. And when he finally found it, he could barely read what was written there.
I need you to get me the address. Can you get me the address?
Yes. I'll go to my mom's room. I'll try to find it in the drawer.
Okay.
Someone's calling my mom. What do I do?
Don't pick up. I need you to get me your address. That's what I need.
Okay. I'll try to find it. Wait.
Eventually, emergency responders got the full address to the apartment at Amelia Oaks. Meanwhile, Derek, still staying on the line, started saying things that sounded deeply disturbing and unsettling, even though nobody had asked him about them.
I have more family members. They can take care of my sister.
I understand. Your sister will be in good hands, okay? Let's just worry about you now.
Okay. I took pictures and I told my friends about it. Was that bad?
You told who about it?
My friends.
Your friends? Did you send pictures to your friends? So what you did?
Yeah.
Derek watched as law enforcement officers entered the apartment complex and then, as instructed, went back inside the apartment.
What do you mean? They're already here?
Do not go.
I see officers. Do I leave?
No, do not leave. Do not leave. Stay there where you are in your apartment. I'm going to tell you when you can come out, okay? Do not have anything in your hand, okay?
I'm going to stay in my living room.
Stay in your living room. Only have your cell phone, okay? Stay with me on the line.
Okay, ma'am.
When police gave the order, the 13-year-old boy walked out of the apartment and was immediately placed in handcuffs and taken into custody.
Hialeah police! Hands up!
Come on, get him.
Hands up!
Come here, come on.
Hands up!
Get in the ground, get in the ground. Go. Slow. Go.
The son is in custody. Any knife?
There's a knife in my room.
The knife is in the room!
There's a baby.
How's the baby? Did you do anything to the fucking baby?
No, I did not touch the baby.
Come on.
Leave him.
Sit over here. Sit. Lay down. Lay down. Lay down. All the way down. Face down. He's full of blood.
Sorry. It's okay.
Why, bro? Fucking shit.
No question.
Inside the apartment, in the bedroom, to the right of the hallway, officers found Irina Garcia dead in the middle of a bloody crime scene. The mother of two was lying face down on the floor between the edge of the bed and a large dresser. In the baby crib, Ashley was still asleep. She had not been harmed. Officers immediately carried the baby out of the apartment. Investigators later obtained a search warrant for the home, but some things were already clear from the beginning. Irina had been the victim of a brutal attack. Detectives believe she had likely been lying in bed asleep when it started. She had suffered multiple stab wounds. A blood-covered knife was left out in plain sight. The blade was more than a foot long, and the purple handle matched a knife set found in the apartment kitchen. The weapon had been left on the dresser inside Derek's bedroom. Irina's mother, Isabel, arrived at the scene with one of her grandsons. Panicked, they tried to get into Ina's apartment, but officers physically stopped them from entering the crime scene. Shocked and desperate for answers, Isabel was eventually placed inside a police vehicle so detectives could speak with her because law enforcement still had not told her what had happened. At the detective's request, Isabel explained that her son Derek's uncle, who also worked as a truck driver, had urgently called her and told her to go to Irina's apartment immediately. He said that Frank Irina's partner had seen through the apartment's ring camera that police had arrived and taken Derek into custody. After receiving the call from her son at around 11:47 that night, Isabel tried to contact Ina, but got no response.
El esposo de mi hija, que también es camionero, vio por la cámara que ellos tienen en la puerta los policías y que estaban.
Then, detectives asked the grandmother about Derek. Did he have any mental health issues? Had he ever shown signs of aggression or maybe depression? He's a good kid, she said. She described her grandson as a smart teenager. He was doing well in school and had made the honor roll.
¿Él tiene algún problema de agresión, algún problema de depresión? Que usted sepa, no.
No.
As far as she knew, he had not been struggling at all with the arrival of his baby sister. Just a normal kid, Isabel said.
¿Cómo estaba Derek con la baby nueva?
Feliz con su hermana.
Sí, okay.
Feliz.
As the conversation was coming to an end, the detective asked why Frank had not contacted Isabel directly to warn her about the situation, and instead passed the message through Derek's uncle. I don't know, Isabel replied. Maybe the grandmother had never noticed any outward signs of problems inside the family, but there may have been reasons for concern. Although Frank acted as Derek's stepfather and Irina's husband, it appears he legally could not actually be married to her. The reason was that back in Cuba, he already had a wife and daughters. His relationship with Irina was reportedly an affair outside of that marriage. Whether Derek knew about the situation remains unclear. It is also unknown how the teenager truly felt about his family overall. Derek was taken to the homicide division in Hialeah, where he waited for detectives to arrive. After he was placed in a holding cell, investigators continued processing the crime scene, now with a warrant to search the apartment. To someone who did not know what had happened inside the home might not have looked suspicious at first. It was clean, organized, and generally well kept. Baby supplies were spread throughout the living room and open kitchen area. A bassinet for the newborn sat on the couch. Against one wall was a manicure station where Irina's clients would come for manicures and pedicures. That part of the apartment still looked orderly, even though it was crowded with baby items. But with a closer look, disturbing signs of what had happened there started to appear. A handgun was lying on the couch. On the kitchen table, investigators found the sheath for a large kitchen knife. Small smears of what appeared to be blood were visible on the tile floor leading from the living room down the hallway toward the bedrooms. Near the entrance to the master bedroom, there was a puddle of a similar red substance. Open cases for 2 handguns were sitting on the bed while the weapons themselves had been moved to other rooms. Detectives also noticed signs that Derek had been going through drawers, documents, and papers searching for the apartment address. There was also a visible trail leading from the master bedroom to the bathroom. Someone appeared to have tried to clean parts of it up, but only in a very superficial way. The bedroom at the end of the hallway had many of the typical details you would expect from a 13-year-old boy's room. There were toys inside, including a teddy bear sitting on the dresser. The walls were decorated with cartoon drawings. Attached to the mirror was a badge that read Big Bro, and hanging in a frame near the bed was an honor certificate for Derek Rosa from IMAT Academy, a local middle school. On the blanket, investigators found ammunition, and the bedspread itself had light stains from what they believed was blood. And then there was the knife. A closer examination revealed that the tip had snapped off. Later during the autopsy, investigators found a fragment matching the broken piece. The medical examiner concluded that Irina had suffered a total of 46 stab wounds. She had injuries on both the front and back of her body. Investigators believed the fatal wounds were most likely the ones to her chest. There were also signs that Irina had fought back. Defensive wounds were found on her hands.
There, come over here, there. Have a seat right there for me, please, if you can.
Derek Rosa was placed in an interrogation room with 2 detectives. The 13-year-old was read his Miranda rights and then waived his right to an attorney. Detective Joseph Arasagi from the Hialeah Police Department later testified that he believed the teenager understood those rights when they were explained to him, and that his statements were not made under pressure or coercion. Predictably, that claim would later come under scrutiny, but Derek did speak openly with detectives, and what he told them sounded deeply disturbing.
So you went to sleep around 10?
Yeah.
Okay, and then what?
I woke up and I went to the kitchen. I grabbed one of the kitchen knives and then I went to her room and then I
It's okay, you can say it.
killed her.
You killed her? Alright. What type of knife was it, do you know?
It was just a big size kitchen knife.
That big?
Yeah.
What color was the handle?
Purple.
Purple?
Yes.
Okay. Your mom was sleeping?
Yeah, she was sleeping.
Okay.
Derek explained that after killing his mother, he took pictures of her body. Then he texted one of his friends and told him what he had just done.
How many friends did you call?
Only one.
What's his name?
I don't know his real name. He's an online friend.
He's an online friend?
Yeah.
When you say online friend, what do you mean, from video games?
Yes, from video games. I know him real well.
Okay. How long have you known him?
Since like I was 10. 3 years.
3 years?
3
Have you ever met him?
No, I've seen his face.
You seen his face?
Yeah.
So how did you communicate with him?
My cell phone.
Through your cell phone, so you have his number?
Yes.
And you don't have him stored under a certain name, or you have him stored under a gamer tag?
I have him. I made up a name for him.
You made up a name for him?
Yeah.
What name did you make up from?
Sweden.
Sweden?
Sweden. SWEEDEN.
Okay. How often do you talk to Sweden?
Every weekend.
Every weekend?
Yeah.
Okay. So you called Sweden. And what did you tell Sweden?
Told him what I did.
What exactly did you tell Sweden when you say what I did?
I killed my mom.
Derek admitted that he sent Sweden 3 photographs. 2 pictures showed his mother and what had been done to her, and the third was a photo of himself. In the selfie, he was smiling and posing with one hand slightly stained with blood raised toward the camera. The real identity of Sweden, if investigators ever confirmed, it was never publicly revealed. Derek's cell phone, along with an iPad and a laptop, were taken from the crime scene. Because much of his communication involved other minors, many details from those devices were never released to the public. However, investigators did publish his search history. The final Google searches made from the 13-year-old's phone began around 6 o'clock on the evening of the murder. Among the searches were, what's the best place to stab someone? Carotid artery diagram. Is a small knife good for killing? Is it easier to kill someone with a small knife? Can a small knife cut through bone? And finally, machine gun images. Derek told detectives that after the attack, he took 2 of his stepfather's handguns out of their cases and loaded them. After that, he said he changed his mind about using one of them likely against himself, so he put the weapons down and called 911.
At first, I cut her right here.
And her neck?
It's like a type of vein that goes through your neck right here on both sides.
Okay.
And you stab here, a lot of blood springs out right
Do you know what that's called?
Like an artery or something.
An artery?
Yeah.
Okay.
The interrogation came to an end after Derek was asked the one question he seemed unwilling to answer.
So you were about to tell me the why. Why did you kill your mother? Do you know?
If I have to say it now,
Yeah, get it off your chest. Absolutely.
you can only for a lawyer.
Okay, at this point, you want a lawyer?
Maybe not.
We can't. No, listen. Just so you understand, okay? You have mentioned or asked us, should you wait for a lawyer? We're not here to advise you on whether to talk to a lawyer or not. That decision is yours, okay? But if you are requesting a lawyer at this point, we can't interview you any further. You understand? We have to stop the interview.
Okay.
Do you want us to stop the interview?
Yes.
Okay.
If investigators still had any doubts about who was responsible for the brutal killing of Irina Garcia, those doubts disappeared after police gained access to data from Ashley's baby monitor. The device had been positioned directly in front of the baby's crib, and the camera also captured part of Irina's bed. The footage showed a gentle moment between mother and daughter at around 10:20 that night. But less than an hour later, another image appeared to show a figure believed to be Derek Rosa leaning over his sleeping mother. At first, Derek Rosa was charged with second-degree murder, and a Miami-Dade grand jury decided he would be prosecuted as an adult. Later, the charge was upgraded to first-degree murder. Derek pleaded not guilty. The honor roll 8th grader is being held in the juvenile section of an adult correctional facility while he waits for trial. The evidence against him appears overwhelming. Although parts of the 911 call were edited before release, reports say Derek admitted to the murder during that call, and then, of course, just a few hours later, he confessed again to detectives during questioning. Investigators believe nobody else was inside the apartment that night except for his 2-week-old baby sister. Police also found blood on his clothing. Data from his phone suggests he had been thinking about the attack and planning it for hours before the tragedy happened. And yet, his grandmother, other relatives, and a growing number of passionate supporters have all rallied around one central belief that Derek Rosa is innocent. At a hearing in April 2025, more than 50 supporters joined Derek's family after traveling to the courthouse from different parts of the country. Many packed the courtroom to hear the judge and attorney speak, and after the hearing, they gathered outside chanting slogans near the building. They wore shirts with Derek's picture and the words, "Free Derek," printed across them, claiming they were only a small part of his national and international support. At one point, several Miami-Dade police officers warned the crowd that people needed to move away from the entrance and remain on the sidewalk. These activists attended nearly every hearing, firmly insisting that the teenager was innocent.
I am here along with all these moms right here next to me, okay? So we're not affiliated with any source. We're here by our own selves, voluntary. We're here to support Derek Rosa's case. We want Derek Rosa's freedom. We don't want Derek Rosa's rights to be violated any longer. His constitutional rights is being violated as well. We want Derek Rosa's freedom. We want justice for Irina Garcia. We want the real person who committed this passion crime to be charged fully. Derek Rosa did not do it. He's a child.
I'm here because I believe in Derek's innocence. And I like to see him free. I like to see justice for Irina. And this child, Derek Rosa, I believe in his innocence.
The support movement became especially visible on TikTok, where a growing number of mostly Spanish-speaking women started posting videos defending Derek Rosa. In their videos, they criticize what they believe is the way both the legal system and the public have treated the teenager since his arrest. Many of the videos are highly emotional. The creators focus on Derek's age, the circumstances of his interrogation, his mental state, and the fact that he became the center of a major criminal case while still just a child. Some users openly say they believe the way he has been treated is unfair and excessively harsh. Other supporters go even further, claiming that Derek may have been the target of some kind of conspiracy. Those kinds of theories have recently spread widely across social media, adding even more controversy, emotion, and public debate to the case.
Derek Rosa es completamente inocente. Derek Rosa es inocente.
I believe that he is innocent of all charges. He is a child. He can easily be manipulated by an adult. I believe there was more than one person in that scene. We hear noises in the background of the 911 call. I strongly believe that he's innocent and he was manipulated by someone else around that scene.
One of the biggest and most controversial issues in the entire case remains Derek Rose's confession. Much of the ongoing legal battle now centers on the circumstances under which it was obtained and whether it was truly voluntary and fully informed. During one of the pretrial hearings, Detective Arasagi defended the decision to interrogate 13-year-old Derek without an attorney and without any adult present in the room with him. According to the detective, there was no reason at the time to believe the boy was incapable of understanding the situation or his legal rights. While testifying, Arasagi stated that Derek told investigators he was an honor roll student and knew how to read. In the detective's view, that showed the teenager was fully aware of what was happening during the interview and understood the decisions he was making. But Derek's supporters strongly reject that interpretation of events. They argue that nothing the teenager said during the interrogation can be fully trusted because of the emotional and psychological condition he was in after the tragedy. According to them, Derek was escorted to the homicide division by armed officers and questioned by armed detectives. His supporters say that kind of environment could have been deeply frightening for a 13-year-old child, especially while dealing with the shock of his mother's violent death. No direct accusations of physical abuse or mistreatment by police have been made. However, in response to public attention and calls for transparency, the Hialeah Police Department later released video footage showing Derek's arrest and the time he spent in custody. The recordings show the period when Derek sat in the back of a police car outside the crime scene, his transport to the station, and the events leading up to the moment he sat across from detectives for questioning. Those videos later became the subject of intense discussion among people following the case. Still, the biggest concerns centered on Derek's decision to waive his rights before speaking with detectives. That moment has now become one of the defense's main arguments. While inside the interrogation room, Derek was unable to state his own home address or phone number. He also told detectives that he did not have initials, which drew additional attention to his condition and apparent understanding of the situation. In addition to that, he could not read or explain the meaning of the word coercion. And when detectives used the word attorney, Derek did not know what it meant or what a lawyer was. The defense is now using those moments as evidence that the teenager may not have fully understood his rights or the consequences of giving them up.
Derek, come over here, Derek. Have a seat right there for me, please, if you can.
Before we ask you any questions, you must understand your rights.
Okay, you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and initial this little dot for me. It means that you understand that. Yeah, just your initials.
I don't have initials. I just write my name.
Okay. Whatever.
What's your name?
Right here.
You have the right to remain silent.
Okay. You understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. Write your name again if you understand that.
You have the right to talk to a lawyer for advice before we ask you any questions, and to have the lawyer present with you during the questioning.
Okay, you understand that? Go ahead and...
I am willing to make the statement and answer questions. I do not want a lawyer at this time. I understand and know what I'm doing. No promises or threats have been made to me. No pressure or
coercion. That's that we're forcing you to do something. Okay. You understand? Whatever you're doing on your own voluntarily basis, making an educated decision for yourself, okay?
Okay.
Keep on. And if you want a chance to explain yourself, the only way that we would be able to take your statement is if you agree to talk to us without the presence of an attorney. If you do, go ahead and sign right here.
What's an attorney?
An attorney is someone that can represent you in legal matters. Okay?
You know what a lawyer is?
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, same thing. By you signing that, you're wanting to give us a statement without the presence of a lawyer. You understand that?
Yes.
Is that your wish?
Yes, my wish.
Okay.
What's your address?
I don't know my address.
Okay. What's your telephone number? You don't know it either?
No.
Okay.
In June 2025, during a hearing at Miami-Dade Criminal Court, attorneys for Derek Rosa argued that his confession was obtained without a full and informed understanding of his constitutional rights. That issue has now become one of the central points in the latest stage of the legal battle surrounding the case. According to the defense, Derek did not fully understand the consequences of speaking with detectives without a lawyer present. His attorneys argue that because of his age, emotional condition, and possible developmental factors, the teenager may not have completely understood the meaning of his statements or the legal consequences of his actions during the interrogation. For that reason, the defense believes his procedural rights may have been violated during the process of obtaining the confession. The attorneys argue that this raises serious questions about whether some of the prosecution's most important evidence should even be allowed in court. Because of that, the defense team is now seeking to have Derek's confession entirely excluded from the evidence that could later be presented to a jury during trial. If the court agrees to that request, it could significantly affect both the direction of the case and the legal strategy of both sides moving forward. Derek Rosa is being represented by Jose Baez, who, according to reports, is handling the case free of charge. Baez is a well-known defense attorney in high-profile criminal trials and has previously represented major clients including Casey Anthony and Harvey Weinstein. His involvement in the case has only intensified public attention surrounding the upcoming trial.
My name is Attorney Jose Baez, and I'm the lead defense attorney for Derek Rosa. Derek would like to thank everyone for all of their well wishes and interest in his case. This has been an incredibly difficult time for both Derek and his family, and we would like to take this time to thank everyone for their prayers. Having said that, Derek faces a long fight ahead, and many people have offered to assist in his defense. And I'd like to inform you that we are currently working on setting up a defense fund on behalf of Derek that will be managed by a third-party attorney in their trust account to assist in his defense. Now, when I say to assist in his defense, I'm referring strictly to costs that may be involved. And the reason for that is that this is a case that my law firm is taking on pro bono. We have not taken one penny from the Rosa family or Derek or anyone else to represent him. We're doing this because this is a fight and a cause that we believe in. And it is a principle that the Baez law firm stands firmly behind.
When Derek Rosa's defense team shared a fundraising page on Fundly, the campaign had already received more than $23,000 in donations toward a stated goal of $100,000. The fundraiser quickly gained attention from people who supported Derek or believed the case deserved a deeper and fairer examination. The page is no longer active and now contains only a short message thanking everyone who contributed. At the same time, reports say the total amount raised eventually exceeded $140,000. That only highlighted how much public attention the case had generated and how many people continued following it closely. A petition supporting Derek Rosa's release also gained major traction. It collected more than 43,000 signatures from people urging the courts to consider his age, mental condition, and the circumstances surrounding the case. Online, a noticeable wave of support formed around Derek, and it did not disappear even long after his arrest. At the same time, there has also been strong reaction from the opposite side. A Change.org petition calling for Derek to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law in the interest of justice for Irina Garcia gathered a little more than 1,000 signatures. While that number was much smaller, it still showed that many people believe the brutality of the crime should carry the harshest possible consequences. As of now, there appear to be two main directions the defense strategy could potentially take. Both have already been mentioned multiple times during hearings and public discussions about the case. The first focuses on Derek Rosa's mental condition and the possible impact his diagnoses may have had on his behavior and perception of reality. The second centers on an alternative theory suggesting that someone else may actually be responsible for the murder. Those two arguments now appear to form the core of the defense strategy. Defense attorneys stated that Derek was diagnosed with ADHD while still in 3rd grade, and a few years later was also diagnosed with autism. Those details became an important part of court discussions as the defense tries to determine whether those conditions may have affected his behavior, emotional responses, or ability to fully understand his actions. According to his attorneys, it is currently impossible to say with certainty how much those diagnoses may have influenced Derek at the time of the tragedy. That is why they continue pushing for additional psychological and psychiatric evaluations before a full trial begins. The defense requested more time before trial so qualified psychiatrists could conduct several lengthy sessions with Derek over an extended period. His attorneys argue that only a detailed and comprehensive evaluation can provide a clearer understanding of his mental condition and whether it played any role in the events of that night.
Prosecutors questioned Rosa's attorneys if they plan to bring in mental health experts as witnesses. Rosa's attorneys said they weren't ready to provide details on that. The topic of mental health caught the judge by surprise and told Rosa's attorneys if they plan to raise insanity in trial, they need to let the court know as soon as possible.
Complicating an already incredibly complex case even further, defense attorneys recently introduced an alternative theory about what may have happened that night. The theory immediately drew massive attention because it directly challenged the prosecution's version of events and added even more controversy and unanswered questions to the case. According to this version, someone else may have been present at the crime scene, and that person, according to the defense, could have been Derek Rosa's stepfather, Frank Ramos. In recent months, a significant part of the defense strategy has started focusing directly on him. The theory emerged after Facebook messages and a recorded conversation between Frank and an unidentified woman allegedly contained details about the crime that, according to Derek's attorneys, could only have been known by someone directly involved in or present during the murder. The defense described those details as some of the most disturbing aspects of the entire case. In the messages, Frank allegedly described in detail Irina Garcia's reaction to the attacker, her movements after getting out of bed, and the exact way events unfolded inside the room. According to the defense, the conversation included descriptions of her screaming for help, struggling with the attacker, and even where she ultimately collapsed after the fatal assault. Those details became a central part of the defense argument because, according to Derek's attorneys, the description sounded far too specific and detailed for someone who supposedly was not present during the murder. Frank himself does not claim that Derek Rosa told him those details. Instead, he says he came to those conclusions on his own based entirely on his observations of the crime scene after the tragedy. The defense, however, pushed back on that explanation by pointing out that Frank has no professional training or qualifications in that area. His attorneys emphasized that he is not a blood spatter expert, has no experience processing crime scenes, and has never professionally investigated homicides. Because of that, the defense argues a major question remains. How could someone with no specialized training reconstruct the sequence of the murder in such detailed and consistent terms? That question has now become one of the defense team's main attempts to create doubt around the official version of events. According to Jose Baez, the level of detail in Frank's descriptions could suggest that he was actually inside the apartment that night or somehow witnessed the killing himself. That possibility now forms part of the defense's alternative theory. Naturally, both Frank Ramos and prosecutors strongly reject those claims. They insist the allegations are simply an attempt by the defense to create confusion around the case and distract from the evidence already presented. In fact, Derek himself repeatedly provided his stepfather with an alibi for the night of the murder. He first did so during the 911 call and later repeated the same claim during his official interrogation. According to Derek, Frank was not inside the apartment when the killing happened.
Okay, go ahead with his name.
It's Frank Ramos. No, he's a truck driver, and he's driving trucks far away. And my stepdad's calling me. Do I answer?
No, stay with me on the line until the officers get there, okay? I'm sending you help.
And since he's a truck driver, He was at home. He was far away.
Okay.
So I went into the closet. I found his book bag because he goes shooting at gun ranges.
Okay.
I grabbed the gun.
Jose Baez's team has continued trying to break apart Frank's alibi by closely examining every part of his timeline and version of events. The defense is focused specifically on the movements of Derek's stepfather, trying to determine whether he truly was far away from the crime scene at the time of the murder. To do that, the attorneys requested work records and other documents that could either confirm or contradict Frank's claim that he was in Georgia when the killing happened. The defense has been trying to build the most precise possible picture of his route movements and communications that day. The legal team also pushed to re-interview one of Frank's co-workers whose testimony, according to the defense, could potentially cast doubt on his alibi. Reports say the man had previously been reluctant to fully confirm an exchange of trailers between him and Frank. Because of that, the defense considers him an important witness in their attempt to verify whether Frank's version of events is truthful. Prosecutors responded by stating that GPS data, travel records, and other evidence show Frank was driving along Interstate 95 and eventually arrived in Georgia around the same period of time when the murder occurred. According to the prosecution, the digital evidence and timestamps support his alibi rather than weaken it. At the same time, suspicions surrounding Frank began spreading online almost immediately after Derek Rosa's arrest. Across social media and online discussions, users started creating their own theories about the stepfather's possible involvement in the crime. Those theories quickly gained traction and became a major part of the public conversation surrounding the case. Most of the accusations centered around a supposed motive claiming Frank may have wanted to get rid of his second wife or partner in America so he could reunite with his other family in Cuba. No official evidence supporting that theory has ever been presented, but it still became one of the most widely discussed ideas among people following the case online. Those rumors intensified even more after Derek's defense team pointed to records which they say showed a strange purchase Frank allegedly made about a month after Irina Garcia's death. Attorneys used that detail to raise further questions about his actions after the tragedy. According to the defense, Frank purchased 3 airline tickets from Cuba to Florida. That purchase immediately sparked another wave of speculation and suspicion among people closely following the case. Many online users and supporters of alternative theories interpreted it as a sign that he may have been planning to bring his other family to the United States or invite them to stay with him. Then, just a few weeks later, photos allegedly appeared online showing Frank's Cuban wife holding baby Ashley in her arms. Those images quickly spread across social media, fueling even more controversy and emotional reactions surrounding the case. During one of the recent hearings, Derek's defense team argued that the images and materials already released to the public have created prejudice among potential jurors. According to the attorneys, the public is essentially being pushed toward believing a specific version of events before anything has officially been proven in court. When asked about suggestions that he may have been involved in the murder of Irina Garcia, Frank responded, "I don't have to explain anything. That's the prosecution's job." He also insists that he sees himself as a victim in this case. According to Derek, everything that happened that night permanently destroyed his own life as well. That remains the position he continues to publicly maintain while the case stays in the spotlight of both the media and the public. Derek Rosa, who is now 14 years old, is currently being held at Metro West Detention Center, an adult correctional facility, where he is awaiting trial on a first-degree murder charge. Despite his age, he continues to be housed in an adult detention center, which has repeatedly sparked debate and controversy surrounding the case. Several trial dates were scheduled and then later postponed. Because of that, the case continued dragging on, leaving the family, attorneys, and everyone following the investigation waiting for the next stage. Each new delay only intensified public attention around the disturbing and highly publicized story. Multiple attempts to transfer Derek to a juvenile facility were also unsuccessful. The defense tried to move him to a center for minors based on his age, but those requests were denied. As a result, Derek remained in adult custody while awaiting trial. At the time this was published, Derek's next court hearing was scheduled for July 2025, and the trial itself was expected to begin in September of that same year. However, because of the previous delays and postponements, nobody could say with complete certainty whether those dates would actually remain final. His many supporters will no doubt continue standing by him. A large group of people has formed around the Derek Rosa case, openly supporting the teenager and closely following every new development. Across social media and around the courtroom, that support remains highly visible even now. Officers stood in the parking lot of a student apartment complex in Kalamazoo, trying to make sense of the strange disappearance of 24-year-old student Ania Mack. No one had been able to reach her for several days. Her car was sitting in the parking lot without license plates. Nearby was another nearly identical Chevrolet Malibu displaying her plates. The lights were on inside her apartment. The television was still running. The bathtub was filled with water. A load of men's clothes was spinning in the washing machine. But Ania herself was nowhere to be found. Her friends were convinced she would never have disappeared voluntarily. Police searched the apartment, spoke with people who knew her, and tried to locate her boyfriend, Donovan Lewis. They came up empty-handed. Then, late that night, as officers were preparing to continue the search, a man with a backpack slung over his shoulder emerged from the darkness and walked toward them. It was Donovan. The officers asked him a few questions about Ania. What he told them was nothing like what they expected to hear. Within minutes, what had started as a possible missing person case turned into a homicide investigation. Donovan then began telling a story about an argument, messages on a cell phone, a married pastor, and the events he claimed had unfolded inside the apartment that Sunday. And the more he talked, the more disturbing the picture became of what had really happened to Ania Mack. Hey guys, let me grab you for just a second. I'm really curious where my audience is watching from, so I'd love for you to drop a comment and tell me what city you're in and what time it is for you right now. Thanks for taking a moment. Go ahead and share that in the comments, and now let's keep going. During the early morning hours of Thursday, June 28, 2018, officers with the Kalamazoo Police Department responded to a call at Hunter Ridge Apartments in western Michigan. The complex consisted of a multi-story building with numerous apartments and a parking lot. It was used as off-campus housing, and all of its residents were local college students. Officers arrived there to look for 24-year-old Ania Mack, a psychology student at Western Michigan University. No one had heard from Ania since the previous Sunday. Mia, as her friends and family called her, was an extremely outgoing person who was always active and involved in a wide variety of activities. In school, she was an honor student, served on the student council, participated in the Health Occupations Association, performed in both the marching band and concert band, competed as a varsity cheerleader, and also played volleyball and softball. While attending college, she continued singing in her church choir and danced with a women's dance team at WMU. For Ania, it was completely out of character to go out of contact with so many friends for even a few hours, let alone several days. Her close friend, LaQuenta Watson, contacted the Kalamazoo Police Department. She explained that she normally spoke with Ania every day, and when she had been unable to reach her for several days, she began to fear that something was wrong. Every phone call went straight to voicemail. Her concern grew even stronger when she visited Ania's new workplace, the Great Lakes Alternative Research Center, where she worked with children who have autism. There, she learned that Ania had already missed 2 consecutive days of work. She had started the position only 3 months earlier and had been incredibly excited about the opportunity. There was simply no way she would have intentionally missed work unless something serious had happened. Childhood friend Dominic Thomas met with police outside the apartment complex after speaking with Ania's mother, Loretta, who lived in Louisiana, as well as with LaQuenta. All 3 of them were becoming increasingly worried because they had been unable to reach her.
It's unlikely
to just not answer the phone, it sounds like.
If anything is going on, I'm like pretty much the only person that she has here besides her family. But like me and her, we have been best friends for 24. I'm only 24, but we have been best friends our entire being, basically.
I got friends like that.
And it's driving me real crazy that if anything was going on, she would call me. If nobody, she would call me. I know for a fact.
She had any medical issues?
No.
No psychological orders.
Did she take any medication for anything?
As of right now, not to my knowledge. I didn't inhale when she needed.
Did she ever have any drug abuse issues?
No.
I mean, I'm not talking marijuana, that's almost legal, like harder stuff than that.
Police learned that Ania owned a white 2008 Chevrolet Malibu. They spotted it in the parking lot without any license plates attached. Not far away was another nearly identical vehicle. That second Malibu was displaying Ania's license plates, but the car itself was registered to a man named Gustavo. Both vehicles had 2 flat tires and appeared to be undrivable. The lights were on inside Ania's apartment, and it sounded like the television was still running, but no one answered when officers knocked on the door.
Roommate's room with the TV flashing.
So it looks like somebody is home at least.
Oh, maybe not. He's working on getting a phone number for a roommate right now.
6-1. Did you hear what I found out about the plates? Her car, her Malibu over there in the corner, the plates missing off of it. I found it on another Malibu a couple spots down. It's not registered to her, which is kind of strange.
So they swapped the plates on the cars?
Yeah. There's a white Malibu that comes back to her by the VIN. No plate. The plate that belongs on it is on another Malibu. A few spots down, another white Malibu. Somebody else's name.
Gustavo fella?
Yeah.
Hi, is this Cora? Cora, this is Anaya's best friend. Are you at home? Anaya has been missing for 2 days, to my understanding. I drove all the way here from Muskegon because yes, because the police are here as well.
Is she up there?
She's coming here. Okay, thank you.
Dominic told officers that Ania had experienced some problems in the past with her boyfriend, 25-year-old Donovan Lewis. Donovan, or Donnie, as his friends called him, was a former student at a local college. He had been a basketball player and also worked as a lifeguard at the YMCA. He had recently returned to Kalamazoo after spending a short time with his brother in Indianapolis, where he was completing an internship with a multimedia company. After coming back to Michigan, Donovan took whatever work he could find. For the past week and a half, he had been working the night shift as a janitor at a large local manufacturing facility.
Have there been any issues with him that you know of?
Yeah. There's been several occasions that they went back and forth and had arguments. I know one time the police was called.
Say they ever escalate to violence, really?
He threw water on her several times. He took off in her car when she came out. She was getting ready to talk to him. He rolled her arm up in the window, like to drag her down the street.
When Core arrived to let the search team into the apartment, she told officers Lockett and Lebret that it was not unusual for her and Ania to go several days without seeing each other. The two had been assigned as roommates less than a year earlier through a housing placement process managed by the Student Housing Administration.
When's the last time you were here before?
This morning I came back from work around like 6 and I went to the movies and I came back here.
When's the last time you saw her?
Not before Saturday. I left home for graduation. I graduated Saturday.
You come in.
And then this is her room right here. But someone was here today because they turned on the air and they put some clothes in the washer. So when I was gone, like I thought maybe she came. But
Have you seen her boyfriend around here?
I haven't seen anybody, honestly. But I left for the weekend, so I thought maybe she just went home. But I really haven't seen her.
Nothing looks out of the ordinary in here. Obviously, boyfriend probably just
This is Roberto. Go check boyfriend's mom's place. Do we have a phone number for boyfriend?
I don't know if there's probably one in the eyelids too, or from him.
Yeah, let's check with the roommate, see if maybe he's got something.
Okay.
Like if she was going somewhere, she would definitely pack her makeup. That's here. This looks like what would be her purse. A bag that she do her hair stuff with. That's here. Like, I'm just like, what the fuck?
There was no sign of Ania anywhere inside the apartment. A quick search did not uncover any immediate evidence that she had been in danger, but several details stood out as unusual. The bathroom Ania used was filled with water, as if she had drawn a bath but never actually gotten in.
Can you ask her to use the bathtub in here? Hey, Jerry.
What's up?
Can you ask her if she uses the bathtub? It's like full of water.
As Core pointed out, someone other than her had recently been inside the apartment. Someone had turned on the air conditioner and started a load of laundry. Inside the washing machine were men's clothes, along with 2 turquoise bathroom rugs. There were no matching rugs in the bathroom that Ania used.
Yeah, somebody definitely came in today, for sure. Because when I left, the air wasn't on.
Does her boyfriend ever come over here and do any laundry or anything?
Yeah, they always do laundry together.
Okay.
So it's not like out of the ordinary.
Does he have a key?
I don't think so. That's what I'm saying. Like somebody was here because I don't think he has a key. Usually if he's coming, like I'll leave the door unlocked. Like if I know he's here, or like she'll leave the door unlocked. I don't even see her keys.
Many of Ania's personal belongings were still in her bedroom, including items she would normally have taken with her if she had gone on a trip. The situation involving the 2 Malibu vehicles also remained unexplained. Neither car appeared to be in condition to drive. If Ania had left the apartment voluntarily, the obvious question was how she had gotten anywhere.
I think it's just a little fishy. He's the only person we haven't talked to.
Yeah, but why? She's gonna end up calling in the morning.
I hope so. Where the hell's she been at though? Both of her cars are here. Boyfriend has no car. Her best friend, her parents, her god sister, her pastor. She's been at work.
And from what other people have said, has the boyfriend been around her the last couple of days?
Well, he claims he hasn't seen her since Sunday either.
What about talking with her?
Yeah, I need to get that from him.
Yeah, so she's been missing since Sunday?
Yeah, that's the last time I saw her.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
The officers left the apartment with mixed impressions about the seriousness of the situation. They had found no clear signs of a crime, but many of the circumstances simply did not seem right.
Do you think this is an actual? An actual? Like an actual missing person?
Well, nobody knows where she's at right now. She's missing.
Like, okay, well, I
do,
mean, like...
Do I think that she's endangered? No. Absolutely not.
Okay.
We've got nothing to lead us to believe that she's endangered other than the fact that boyfriend was an asshole at one point.
Is that just a dispute that you were talking about, or like a DV?
DV, but they didn't find it.
Was... I don't know. There's still somebody coming and going from the apartment. That's the weird part.
Yeah.
But like roommate hasn't seen her in almost a week. Doesn't think anything of it.
Police were unable to make contact with Donovan Lewis. Everything they knew about him came from Ania's friends, who had been communicating with him. Both Dominic and LaQuenta told officers that Donovan had also been trying unsuccessfully to reach Ania since Sunday. Officer LeBret located the address of Donovan's mother's home, and officers later went there to look for him. However, no one answered the door. After the unsuccessful attempt to find Donovan at his mother's house, Ania's close friend and godsister, Lawenda, contacted Officer Lockett again. This time, she said she knew where Donovan was. He was finishing his shift as a janitor at Stryker, a company that manufactures medical equipment. According to the information she provided, he was expected to return to Ania's apartment at 3:30 in the morning. Later that same night, officers Aday and Lockett returned to Hunter Ridge Apartments to find him. By then, Core and Dominic had already left. Once again, no one answered when the officers knocked on the door.
I guess we'll wait outside for a little bit, see if he shows up. I just feel like you'd be a little bit more concerned if your girlfriend's missing, don't you think? That's the one person who hasn't talked to us at all yet. So this is the other thing I thought was weird, but I think it's just plate fraud. That down here, the white car is actually hers, but they're both on flats. So those cars have not moved recently.
What the fuck?
I know, this is a weird one, I'm telling you.
That person that you're talking to, what is that?
That's her god sister, like her other best female friend.
She thinks the guy's shady.
Yeah. Yeah. I tried to speak to mom. I gotta call mom back. Apparently, she just called me back. Her other male best friend, who I think he's, on the other side of the fence, he hasn't seen her or heard from her. Her roommate hasn't seen her or heard from her since Friday because she was out of town all weekend.
What about, you got any friends for this suspect, the boy?
We haven't got that far yet to get into his friends.
Yeah, I feel like this should almost just be detectives.
Yeah. I definitely think this is detective worthy, like now, because I think something fishy is going on here.
Damn, dude.
Something fishy. There could be nothing. Maybe she's out with a new boyfriend, but why would she completely cut off everybody, all her best friends?
The officers were standing beside their patrol vehicle discussing their concerns about the case when events suddenly took an unexpected turn. Out of the darkness, a man approached them, wearing a black t-shirt, khaki shorts, and a backpack slung over his shoulder.
What's going on, sir?
Take me here and we'll talk about it on the way.
Just tell me now.
I killed my girlfriend.
6160. Will you come to the apartment, please? Where is she? We're out with boyfriend. He's reporting at 10:35. Where is she?
She's in the creek.
Where at?
Dispatch.
You got any weapons on you, Don?
I don't have anything, so.
You get pat down a little bit. Alright, I gotta read some stuff to you real quick, okay? You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him or her present with you before or during any questioning. If you want a lawyer but cannot afford it, tell me from the beginning what's going on.
I'm in Indianapolis. I left her alone. She couldn't pay rent.
Hey, give me 1 second, okay? 612.
She 612 here, car note. So, my understanding.
Not sure if you record my last traffic. We got one in custody.
Fantastic. When I got back in town about a week ago, or 3 weeks ago, on the 16th, I found out, I went to her phone, and I found out they were messing around. I tried to get over it. Told her it's okay, I understand what you did, I respect that you took care of yourself. And we moved forward, and we had a great couple weeks. And recently, Sunday, we had an argument involved because I just moved back, so I don't have a job, I didn't have the money. The week before, Sunday, or maybe 2 weeks, I don't know, she told me, you're not doing enough. I told her I could call my dad, ask for some help, and whatever, and she just basically bashed me and told me all of this shit, told me everything about me.
Alright.
Saturday, Sunday came.
Let's have a seat in the back of my car real quick, man. Yep. Hey, sit tight, okay? So he's straight up admitted to it, everything. He said she's out in the river on the east side of the city somewhere.
East side of the city?
Yeah. Like, what do you say, East Main or something? He told me, he knows. He didn't tell me that much yet.
However, Donovan was willing to keep talking. The officers preferred to wait for detectives before questioning him any further. As he was being formally taken into custody and placed in a patrol vehicle, he continued sharing details in fragments. By the time Officer Lebret returned to the scene, the case that had been treated as a possible missing person investigation just minutes earlier had already become a homicide investigation.
Is she in the truck one of these cars?
No. He told us that he's in creek somewhere on the east side. I think maybe on the east side of town, too.
In the creek?
In the creek.
Okay. Well, that took a twist.
thinking that way at all.
At that point, Officer Lockett became the primary point of contact in the case. He transported Donovan to the police station and kept up a casual conversation with him while they waited for detectives to arrive.
If he chooses to spontaneously utter things after the fact, then that's him, okay? You've already told him twice now. And then, you don't want to talk, you don't have to talk, those kind of things, okay? When you go back in, move his chair to the other side of the table. Okay. And just tell him, I don't want you in that corner, I'd like you closer to me. My sergeant's gonna know all about safety.
So stay where I'm at?
Stay where you're at. Keep him, put him over in that little corner so we can see him.
Okay.
But other than that, doing great, man. Just keep up with the small talk.
During his conversation with Donovan, Officer Lockett heard several unexpected allegations. The 25-year-old told him that after looking through his girlfriend's phone, he had found intimate messages from her pastor. He was convinced that the two were involved in either a romantic or sexual relationship. Donovan also claimed that Ania had allegedly been blackmailing the pastor because of financial difficulties. According to him, while he was out of state, the pastor had been paying her rent, covering her phone bills, and had even provided her with a second Malibu.
What's been going on?
Just had a rough week. Last week, the car had the pastor laundered. That tire went flat.
Oh, is that what happened?
It was a slow week, so you had to keep refilling in. And then on Sunday, we went to my family lighthouse. She wanted to go to church. She went outside, and the front tire was flat.
Think somebody's doing it? Or you think the car's just old and the tires are bad, or what?
I don't know. I found out that whatever she got going on with the pastor.
Oh.
And when she got the car, she told me a mechanic came to pick her up, and she told me, she got a new car, like a loaner car from the church. And recently she told me, I kind of gave her, I told her I want to have a sit down with her because he ended up picking her up and apparently threatened her.
The pastor threatened her? Over the car, or why?
Because she was using them. She told him she would tell. And he said, you can't do this to me.
How was he using her? Like they had a relationship or something going on, you mean?
I went through her phone.
Who's her pastor? What church she goes to?
Second Baptist, right there by the bus station.
Okay.
Pastor Street.
That Sunday, an argument erupted inside Ania's apartment. What began as another conflict between two people quickly escalated into a serious confrontation. Tension that had been building for a long time finally reached a breaking point that day. The atmosphere inside the apartment was strained, and the grievances and resentment on both sides only made the situation worse. One of the ongoing sources of tension was Ania's relationship with Pastor Strickland of Second Baptist Church. That subject had repeatedly become a source of suspicion and arguments. According to people connected to the case, issues involving the pastor frequently led to emotional conversations and misunderstandings. Over time, they became one of the major sources of strain in the relationship. The pastor, who was married, also served as the local president of the NAACP. He was a well-known and respected figure in the community. His influence extended far beyond his role in the church, and his name was familiar to many people throughout the area. Because of that, any mention of him tended to attract attention, both among church members and within the broader community. Ania had started attending his church earlier that year. She became involved in the church community and participated in its activities. As time went on, her name became increasingly connected to events that would later become part of the investigation. At the time, No one could have imagined that relationships and circumstances that began within the church community would eventually find themselves at the center of a high-profile criminal case.
And I went through her phone. She tussled with me about her phone. She died on her phone. Kind of got in like a fetal position with all her knees in her hands and saw that I was a pastor and saw what he said. And she kind of just gave up. And gave the phone. And the whole time she laughed and grinning. When she gave the phone, she was grinning and laughing. Because she know, okay, if I do make that accusation, she could have that reaction that she had. Just to think about that after we find out it's fucked up.
After detectives arrived, Donovan Lewis provided a full written confession to the killing. His statement became one of the key documents in the case. In it, he laid out his version of events in detail, beginning with the circumstances he claimed led up to the tragedy and ending with what he said happened after Anya's death. In his statement, he wrote that the tires on Anya's Malibu were constantly being flattened. According to him, the problem happened repeatedly and created serious difficulties for her. The situation became so frequent that it required ongoing repairs and additional expenses. He claimed that Pastor Strickland paid for those repairs on at least one occasion. Donovan said this was one of the factors that fueled his growing suspicions about the nature of the relationship between Anya and the pastor. After that, Strickland allegedly offered her the use of a second Malibu, which he claimed belonged to him. However, that vehicle did not solve the problem permanently. According to Donovan, the car was given to Anya for daily use after issues with her original vehicle became more frequent. Eventually, that car also began experiencing problems with flat tires and ultimately became unusable as well. Donovan claimed the same pattern seemed to repeat itself. As a result, that vehicle also stopped being a reliable means of transportation. According to Donovan, the pastor began stopping by Anya's apartment more and more often to pick her up. He said those visits became increasingly frequent, which only deepened his suspicions about their relationship. Earlier that year, Anya had also traveled to Mississippi with the pastor and other members of the church choir. The trip was fully paid for. Donovan said that trip was another reason he began paying closer attention to the interactions between Anya and the pastor. He claimed that Anya admitted to him that she was using the relationship as leverage. According to Donovan, she allegedly discussed this with him during private conversations. He further claimed that she threatened to reveal the relationship to the pastor's wife and to other people. Donovan also alleged that Strickland responded by making threats toward Anya. He claimed the tension between them continued to grow and that the situation became increasingly hostile. Around the same time he provided her with the Malibu, Donovan said Anya told him the pastor had made it clear that he was willing to harm her. According to Donovan, those words made a lasting impression on him and stayed in his memory. That Sunday, Donovan had been drinking alcohol. Anya was drawing a bath. He claimed that he was intoxicated and exhausted from lack of sleep after spending the entire night going through her phone. According to him, he had barely rested and was under intense emotional stress. He said that certain messages from Pastor Strickland particularly enraged him. Those messages, he later explained, triggered the strongest reaction. An argument broke out between them. It began as a verbal dispute, but the tension escalated quickly and emotions intensified. During the confrontation, Anya told him that she wanted him out of her life for good. She pulled out one of his suitcases and began packing his belongings into it. According to Donovan, that moment became the turning point of the argument and pushed the situation to its most intense point. He stated that this was when he struck her and rendered her unconscious. He then admitted that he went into the kitchen, took a large knife, returned to the bedroom, cut her throat, and stabbed her multiple times. During questioning, he acknowledged that those actions caused her death. He also admitted that afterward, he pulled a trash bag over her head and placed her body inside the suitcase. According to his statement, that was the next step he took after the killing. He carried the suitcase to a dumpster near the guest parking area, where it remained for a period of time until he returned for it the following day. The next night, after dark, he came back in his mother's minivan. He drove to Comstock Creek on East Main near Sprinkle Road. According to his statement, he had chosen the location in advance and went there after nightfall. There, he left Anya in a deep section of the creek, weighing the suitcase down with mud and debris so it would sink to the bottom. That is how he described his actions in the written confession that later became a significant part of the criminal case file. One of Anya's friends later recalled,
"She walks into a room and you know it's Naya, like all eyes are on Naya. Like it's just always been like that. She was supposed to start summer school yesterday and it's just like heartbreaking to hear like how it happened. She didn't deserve it. She always said, if something happened to me, I don't want everybody to be sad. I don't want nobody to wear black. I want everybody to be in bright colors. Trust me, I've been crying, but that ain't what she wants. She wants us to be as happy as possible and give her the best homegoing we can."
Investigators questioned several details of Donovan's account. Although he provided his version of events and cooperated with certain aspects of the investigation, detectives did not simply accept his statements at face value. Every claim was carefully compared against the available evidence, forensic findings, and the facts established during the investigation. What concerned them most was the way the killing had allegedly taken place. That part of his story raised the greatest number of questions. Detectives wanted to determine whether the attack he described was consistent with the physical evidence recovered from the apartment. During their initial search of the residence, officers did not find the large amount of blood that would normally be expected in a fatal knife attack. That immediately caught investigators' attention. Given the nature of the injuries involved, they expected to see far more evidence supporting the sequence of events Donovan described. In fact, at first, they found no obvious signs that a fatal assault had even occurred inside the apartment. On the surface, the residence did not appear to be the scene of a violent homicide. Many of the indicators investigators typically encounter in cases like this were absent, prompting them to examine every detail much more closely. However, a more thorough search revealed small but recognizable traces of blood in the hallway, on the edge of Anya's bed, and on the bedroom carpet. While the stains were limited in size, they became important pieces of evidence. For experienced forensic investigators, even seemingly minor findings can help reconstruct what happened inside a crime scene. Investigators also determined that cleaning products already present in the apartment had been used to clean certain surfaces. That discovery drew additional attention from detectives. They considered the possibility that some evidence had been intentionally removed before police arrived. Donovan had thrown away a mattress pad in a dumpster near the apartment complex. Investigators believed the item could have contained important evidence, but they were unable to locate it in time. By the time officers reached the dumpster, the trash had already been collected and removed. As a result, what may have been a significant piece of evidence was lost and could no longer be examined. He also placed the bathroom rugs in the washing machine and got rid of his clothing at his mother's house. Those actions became another part of the timeline detectives worked to reconstruct during the investigation. Anya's personal belongings, including her purse, identification, and bank cards, were discarded in a dumpster near Donovan's workplace. To investigators, those items were particularly important because personal belongings often help establish a victim's last known activities and the sequence of events following a crime. Only some of that evidence was ever recovered. Other items were lost permanently, making the investigation more difficult and limiting what could be examined later. Physical evidence was not the only part of Donovan's story detectives sought to verify. They also carefully reviewed statements from people connected to the case and examined claims that could affect their understanding of both motive and circumstance. Pastor Strickland told Kalamazoo police that Anya Mack was simply a member of his church and a participant in the church choir. According to him, there had never been any romantic relationship between them. He insisted that their interactions were strictly related to church activities and never went beyond the normal relationship between a pastor and a member of the congregation. Furthermore, during questioning, Donovan acknowledged that Anya had never directly admitted to having an affair with the pastor. He said she had only claimed to be using him for financial assistance. That detail became important to investigators because it related directly to the motives Donovan had discussed during interviews. Strickland confirmed that Anya had traveled with him to Mississippi as part of the church choir. According to him, the trip was connected to church activities and events. He said that while there, Anya met a young man she liked and began a relationship with him. The pastor claimed that because she already had a boyfriend in Kalamazoo, she kept the relationship secret. According to his account, she saved the young man's phone number under the pastor's name in her contacts in order to conceal his identity. That way, if Donovan saw the messages, he would assume they were coming from the pastor and would not suspect anything else. This was how Strickland explained the messages and contacts that later drew attention during the investigation. About a month after giving his statement, Strickland contacted police again. This time, his request was not related to the progress of the investigation, but to property that remained in law enforcement custody. He wanted to recover the white 2008 Malibu. However, a problem quickly emerged. He was unable to properly prove ownership of the vehicle. The lack of documentation immediately complicated the process and raised additional questions. Strickland stated that the car belonged to his wife, Jasmine. He claimed that he had purchased it from a man named Gustavo, but he had neither the vehicle title nor a bill of sale. Without documentation to support his claim, investigators could not establish legal ownership in a manner that would allow the vehicle to be returned.
Hello, I'm looking to speak with Pastor Strickland.
This is he.
Hi there, this is Sergeant Charles Trepp at Kalamazoo Public Safety. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about you, sir?
Not too bad, sir. I got a voicemail message from Chief Boyson saying that you had some questions about an automobile.
Yes, sir. One of the automobiles that was taken related to the Anaya Mack murder.
Yes, sir.
One of those vehicles belonged to my wife.
Okay.
And we are trying to recover it. We had actually misplaced the title prior to going out of town.
Okay.
And Anaya had reached out to us while we were out of town and told us that she had found the title.
Okay.
And that the title was supposed to be in the console, which I had looked in the console, I know 20 times. But anyway, she said that the title was folded up really small. So I'm thinking that this is going to be the car that you all find. It's the one that doesn't have any tinted windows or any rims on it. It's just factory.
Okay.
And it's in the console you should find, I'm hoping that she didn't take it out or put it anywhere. You should find the title in the console. Like I said, I don't know how much information that the guy had filled out on the title, because he gave me like a bill of sale, which had all the information on it.
Yes.
But I misplaced that and the title.
Yeah, I know how that goes.
In the end, ownership of the vehicle was never proven, and the car was not returned to the pastor. Despite his efforts to recover the vehicle, the question of legal ownership remained unresolved. Because there was not enough evidence to establish that the car belonged to him, it was never released back to the pastor. The dispute became yet another consequence of the events that had drawn law enforcement attention to his activities. Before long, however, that became the least of his concerns. Events began moving in a far more serious direction. New allegations that later surfaced carried much greater consequences and threatened to completely change his situation. Later that same year, 3 teenagers from his church accused him of sexual abuse. Their allegations led to a separate investigation and attracted significant attention from both law enforcement and the local community. The accusations involved incidents that, according to the alleged victims, had taken place over a period of time in circumstances where the pastor held authority and influence. Both the pastor and his wife were accused of using their positions within the church and the local school to pressure teenagers into sexual activity. Investigators examined claims that their social standing and the trust they had built among young people and members of the community may have been used to exert influence over minors. Those allegations became one of the central focuses of the investigation. One of the alleged victims said he felt unable to refuse the pastor because he depended on a vehicle the pastor had provided for his use. According to his statement, that dependence created significant pressure and greatly affected his ability to make decisions freely. He explained that this was why In his view, he found himself in a situation where he did not feel capable of saying no to someone who held considerable influence over him.
Pastor Strickland is here. He hasn't gone anywhere. He's been here throughout this. He remains pastor at Second Baptist.
3 different things: 19s for sex, CSC, and pandering. Can Mr. Strickland or can someone respond as
no, and no? Not guilty, not guilty, not guilty. Didn't do it, didn't do it, didn't do it.
But given your role at the church, is it typical for you to give teens, boys in the community money?
Well, there are a lot of programs through the church that help kids out.
But does Pastor Strickland personally give kids money himself?
I don't know of any situation where that has happened.
The Michigan State Police investigation determined that the alleged crimes took place between January and May of 2018. After reviewing the evidence, witness statements, and digital records, investigators identified that period as the key timeframe in the case. Over the course of several months, law enforcement worked step by step to reconstruct the events and establish a complete picture of what had occurred. Electronic evidence played a significant role in the investigation. Text messages and photographs recovered from the victims' phones supported their accounts. Those materials became part of the evidence and allowed investigators to compare witness statements with information stored on the mobile devices. According to investigators, the content of the messages and the available photographs were consistent with the circumstances described by the alleged victims. After the major stages of the investigation were completed, the case moved closer to its legal conclusion. In February of 2023, a plea agreement was reached with prosecutors. That decision eliminated the need for a full trial on all charges and established how the case would proceed through the court system. Under the terms of the agreement, Strickland pleaded guilty to 1 count of using a motor vehicle to facilitate prostitution. After reviewing the agreement, the court issued its final ruling on the sentence. He was sentenced to 1 year in prison. With that, the criminal case came to an end through a conviction entered as part of the agreement reached between the prosecution and the defendant.
That is, during that time within the county, did you knowingly offer to sell transportation services to TH and or TJ that facilitated travel for the purpose of engaging in what would be a violation of the laws governing prostitution?
Yes.
During sentencing, the pastor continued to deny any wrongdoing. Even as the legal proceedings were coming to an end and the court was preparing to issue its final decision, he did not back away from his position. Standing before the court, he insisted that he did not consider himself guilty of the offense that had been the subject of years of investigation and legal proceedings. His comments were made during one of the most significant moments of the entire case. For those in the courtroom, it was yet another indication that he continued to reject the allegations against him, despite the agreement he had reached with prosecutors. He stated that he accepted the plea agreement solely for the sake of his family. According to the pastor, concern for his loved ones was the primary reason behind that decision. He said he did not want his family to endure further hardship caused by lengthy court proceedings and continued uncertainty about the future. As a result, even while the sentence was being handed down, he maintained his version of events while explaining that his decision to enter the plea agreement was motivated by a desire to protect his family.
I'm not here today to be pious and to pretend as though I am innocent and without fault. However, I am not guilty of what I was accused of. I am glad that the 10 most heinous charges were dismissed. And eventually, the prosecutors, with their backs against the wall, made a deal that I believe was too good of a deal to put my family through the risk of going through a trial. And I know that they'll use their imps in the media to try to pretend that they won in some way, or that this is some win for the prosecutor's office. This is not a win for the prosecutor's office, and it's certainly not a win for the cause of justice.
Meanwhile, Donovan Lewis agreed to show Kalamazoo police the location in Comstock Creek where he said he had left Ania. This became an important development in an investigation that had already been underway for some time and involved the careful collection of evidence. For investigators, obtaining the exact location was especially significant because it could help confirm key details of the case and reconstruct the sequence of events. Accompanied by law enforcement officers, Donovan pointed out the area of Comstock Creek that he claimed he had used to leave Anya. That information directed investigators' attention to a specific location and allowed search efforts to be focused within a defined area. For Anya's family and everyone following the case, this stage served as another painful reminder of the tragic circumstances at the center of the investigation. At the same time, it gave detectives an opportunity to verify Donovan's statements and compare them with the other evidence that had already been gathered as part of the criminal case.
It's a little bit sloped right there. Now, Donovan, did you have her on this side of the guardrail first? In a suitcase, or did you bring her all the way down here?
All the way down.
All the way down here? Okay, so you wheel her in the suitcase all the way down here? Okay. And you park back up by where the SUV is? And how do you where the white truck is? 10 feet that way. And how do you get her in the water? You just threw her in the suitcase into the water. Okay, and this is the right spot? Okay, where do you want these guys to go? Straight. Straight down?
Switch sides. The sun's not in my
Sure,
camera.
no problem.
Donovan was a strong swimmer. That fact drew investigators' attention during the investigation because it could help explain some of his actions after the crime. Unlike most people, he was comfortable in the water and possessed the skills necessary to move through difficult conditions, even at night. After analyzing the available evidence, investigators concluded that he had dragged the suitcase much farther into the creek toward a deeper section filled with mud and sediment. In their view, the suitcase did not end up there by accident. Its location suggested that it had been deliberately moved as far from the shoreline as possible, into an area where it would be much harder to discover. The muddy bottom, murky water, and challenging terrain created additional obstacles for anyone searching the area. Because of the depth of the water, search crews could not safely reach the location on foot and were forced to use a rescue boat instead. Conditions in that part of the creek proved too difficult for a standard ground search. The water became deeper, and the creek bed was unstable and heavily covered in mud. As a result, investigators brought in a boat that allowed them to reach the hard-to-access area and carefully search the location where they believed the suitcase might be.
We're on camera, guys.
Yep, we're on camera.
Where are we headed?
In there.
Well, I don't think we're gonna get in there. Okay, we're on camera.
Body cam.
We're on camera.
All right. Well,
Are we gonna be able to get this thing back there, Terry?
no. We're looking to try to somehow get the rope, and you guys, and then you're going to try to get
Yeah,
her out.
yeah.
Here's a rope bag. Tie that off on the
Yep.
boat.
Yeah. Oh, I could probably
There. At 0920 hours, we have connected to the suitcase evidence.
All right. Do you want to get it closer? Yeah. You guys open confirm already? Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that recorded?
Yeah, that's okay. Yep. It just buzzed, but it was just a 4-minute buzz or whatever.
Now, when we get out, do we want to anchor that off to the back so we're not backing up upstream?
Did it stick?
I think all the way out, and then probably hand the rope back to some of them back.
Yep. I'll tie off.
All right. We're almost back out in the stream.
See, that tag is loose sitting on top of there.
Going back a
It's
little
just laying there.
Tag? What tag?
The
That-
luggage
that
tag?
Luggage tag.
Oh, okay. Okay.
John, you want to finish?
Yep.
Can you get that, Mark? You got it? And then
After recovering the suitcase, investigators continued searching for the murder weapon, a large kitchen knife with a black handle. Donovan claimed that he had stuck the knife into the bank of the creek near the location where he left the suitcase. Despite clearing a substantial amount of vegetation and conducting an extensive search of the area, investigators were unable to locate the knife. However, the primary objective of the operation had been achieved. Anya's family was finally able to bring her home and lay her to rest.
Giving to other people, being about other people, was her legacy and is her legacy. And that's what we want people to focus on.
We got a lot of love for everybody. Yeah. Oh, God.
Naya was a person about other people. Naya was about, mental health awareness. She was about autism research. She loved kids.
3 days before he was scheduled to stand trial on a charge of first-degree murder, Donovan Lewis was in the recreation yard at the Kalamazoo County Jail. He was playing football with several other inmates. After about 30 minutes, he suddenly dropped the ball and sprinted toward the perimeter fence. Donovan climbed over 2 15-foot walls, cleared a fence topped with barbed wire, then crossed another barrier lined with razor wire, and finally scaled a third fence that separated the jail grounds from Business Loop Interstate 94. He was captured a little more than 30 minutes later.
It appears that he was able to just find a spot and get over it without injuring himself. The first level is a barbed wire fence. The second level is razor wire. The person in custody was able to get over both of those. Then they went over the barbed wire fence that contains the Business Loop of I-94, and the jail jumpsuit was found approximately 100 yards south of that spot.
Donovan's jail uniform was found approximately 100 meters from the point where he escaped. That discovery became one of the first clues investigators used to reconstruct what happened after he fled. The short distance suggested that part of his plan had been carried out almost immediately after the escape. Later, Donovan claimed that he had not been trying to avoid punishment for the killing. According to him, the real reason he escaped was concern for his family's safety. He said he had received death threats and believed that his loved ones could be in danger. However, no evidence was ever presented to support those claims. Investigators found no information that could verify his statements or indicate the existence of a genuine threat. As a result, those allegations remained only his version of events. Eventually, Donovan also pleaded guilty to the escape charge. That decision eliminated the need for a lengthy, separate trial related to the incident and brought another criminal case connected to him to a close. Meanwhile, Anya's family continued to live with the consequences of the tragedy. Her loved ones did not want to endure the additional emotional trauma that a full murder trial would inevitably bring. For them, it would have meant revisiting painful memories, sitting through hours of testimony, and once again facing public discussion of the details of the case. For that reason, near the end of 2018, prosecutors offered Donovan Lewis a plea agreement on a charge of second-degree murder.
I can't imagine the hurt that I've caused. I don't even know the beginning. I just want to say sorry to the family. That's all.
When I sentence you, Mr. Lewis, I balance the principles of punishment, rehabilitation, protection of society, as well as deterrence. Particularly, you being cooperative, taking full responsibility, not minimizing your role in this, and expressing a level of remorse, a decent education. There are a lot of good things here that you had developed over your life, Mr. Lewis, and you threw all of that out the window back on June 24th. Nia Mack didn't deserve any of these things. She didn't deserve to be hit to begin with. She didn't deserve to be put unconscious. She didn't deserve to be stabbed and murdered. And her body didn't deserve to be treated less than garbage. And all of that happened because of you, nobody else.
Donovan Lewis was sentenced to a prison term of 25 to 40 years. For him, the sentence meant decades behind bars and the effective end of the life he had known before his arrest. The court found him guilty, and the sentence marked the conclusion of one of the most significant chapters of the criminal case. It was a decision that followed months of investigation, legal proceedings, and intense scrutiny of the events surrounding Anya's death. However, his legal troubles did not end there. For his escape from jail, he received an additional sentence of 17 months to 4 years in prison. That separate conviction increased the amount of time he would spend in custody and served as an additional punishment for attempting to avoid accountability. Together, the sentences ensured that he would remain incarcerated for many years to come, Once the sentence had been announced and the courtroom proceedings came to an end, attention shifted to Annia's family. For her loved ones, the case had been a source of grief, uncertainty, and emotional pain for a long time. They had endured months of waiting, countless developments in the investigation, and repeated reminders of the tragedy that had changed their lives forever. While the verdict brought a measure of legal closure, it could not undo the loss they had suffered. After the sentencing hearing, Annia's sister was asked,
How do you feel now with the sentence?
I feel good because my sister is okay with the sentence, and so I'm okay with it.
You spoke about forgiveness, not wanting to take pain for pain, but hoping that he can live with what he's done. Can you talk about that?
Well, he have to live with it for the rest of his life. You know, whether he was sincere with what he said in the courtroom or not, he has to live with it. And I hope he can. And I meant that. I haven't forgiven him. My sister, I haven't. And in time, I'm sure I will, but not now. I'm not ready.
And talk about Anaya, because I remember when the story broke, everyone had beautiful things to say about her.
Clearly, she was one of the most loving people. She loved a monster, so that says a lot about her personality and her as a person.
I will keep your secrets. Just think of me and the pages in your diary.
The story concludes by noting that after serving his sentence, Strickland returned to life outside prison and eventually resumed his involvement in religious ministry. According to information referenced in the case materials, he now goes by the name Dr. Floyd Strickland. Under that name, he later became the pastor of Galilee Baptist Church in Mount Olive, Mississippi. This detail attracted the attention of many people who had followed the story over the years. For some members of the public, it served as another reminder of the events that once brought him into court and made him the subject of a widely discussed criminal investigation. Although the criminal case is now part of the past, the mention of his current role illustrates the path his life took after his release. Based on the available information, he is now known as Dr. Floyd Strickland and serves as the pastor of Galilee Baptist Church in Mount Olive, Mississippi. On February 4th, 2015, a police officer pulled into the parking lot of an abandoned shopping center in Bastrop, Texas. In the far corner sat a black Dodge Charger. Part of a woman's body was hanging out of the open door. 29-year-old Samantha Dean had been shot 3 times in the head. She was 7 months pregnant. There was a bag of marijuana sitting on the seat. 2 phones were inside the car. The back seat had been ripped out and thrown onto the pavement nearby, but something didn't add up. The drugs had been left behind. Some of the cash was still there too, and there wasn't a single drop of blood on the bag. Investigators quickly realized someone had staged the scene. Then they found out who the victim was. Samantha worked in victim services for the Kyle Police Department. She had survived cancer. She spent her days helping people after assaults and murders. And in just a few months, she was supposed to give birth to a baby girl. The father of the child was Austin Police Department officer Vontre Clark. Detectives found messages on Samantha's phone. She had told friends she was afraid for her life. In her journal, she directly named the person she believed wanted her dead. But the real nightmare started later. When investigators pulled the phone records, they uncovered a network of burner phones, fake meetups, friends with criminal pasts, and a murder plot that started falling apart because of one catastrophic mistake. Hey guys, let me grab you for just a second. I'm really curious where my audience is watching from, so I'd love for you to drop a comment and tell me what city you're in and what time it is for you right now. Thanks for taking a moment. Go ahead and share that in the comments. And now let's keep going. Samantha Dean was 26 weeks pregnant when she was found murdered in the empty parking lot of an abandoned shopping center in Bastrop, Texas. A woman who had survived cancer and dedicated her life to helping victims of violent crime had now become a victim herself. The circumstances surrounding her murder were strange from the very beginning. The crime scene appeared staged. Anonymous messages had lured her to that location. The car was missing its back seat, but the killers made one major mistake. They left behind a critical piece of evidence, that allowed investigators to unravel the entire plan and expose everyone involved one by one. Around 2 o'clock in the morning on February 4th, 2015, a police officer was patrolling commercial properties in Bastrop, Texas. During the patrol, he pulled into the parking lot of an abandoned shopping center. That's when he noticed a car parked far away from everything else on the empty lot. As he got closer, he saw the body of a woman. She was only partially inside the vehicle. It was immediately obvious that she was dead and had suffered a severe head injury. The victim was later identified as 29-year-old Samantha Dean. An autopsy revealed that she had been shot 3 times in the head. She was 7 months pregnant. The vehicle, a black Dodge Charger, was registered to Samantha. Officers discovered that the back seat had been removed and left lying nearby outside the car. It was clear that Sam had been shot while sitting inside the vehicle, but investigators could not find a single shell casing at the scene. Inside the car, police recovered 2 cell phones. One belonged to Samantha. The owner of the second phone could not immediately be identified. Sitting next to Sam was a grocery bag filled with marijuana. At first glance, the scene looked like a drug deal gone wrong, but several details didn't fit that theory. The drugs had been left behind, along with some cash. Maybe the most important detail was the white bag holding the marijuana. There was no blood on it at all. That told investigators the bag had been placed inside the car after the shooting. Detectives in Bastrop County quickly began to suspect they were dealing with a staged murder scene. The entire investigation changed once law enforcement learned that Samantha Dean was one of their own. The soon-to-be mother had worked in victim services for the Kyle Police Department for the past 3 years. Her family said it had always been her dream to help crime victims find support and peace after traumatic events. Sam earned a degree in liberal arts and public policy from the University of Texas at San Antonio. While she was in college, she was diagnosed with sarcoma in her elbow. Even during radiation and chemotherapy, she kept showing up to class every single day. At first, Sam wanted to become a police officer herself, but the sarcoma left her with a disability that forced her to change direction in life. Instead, she earned a master's degree in forensic psychology and later joined the Kyle Police Department. Samantha and her family were incredibly excited about the pregnancy. She was expecting a baby girl and had already chosen the name Madeline, or Maddie for short. Sam was especially close to her younger sister Taylor, who couldn't wait to become an aunt. She also maintained close friendships throughout her life and was deeply loved by her coworkers.
Wish I could have spent more time with her, but Samantha was an excellent person, and I think it's amazing that even after, she was strong because she beat cancer and she kept going and until now, but love her and miss her.
Every time that I saw her, especially with her baby bump now, I'm gonna miss her because everybody knew she was gonna be an outstanding mother.
Samantha was special. She was the most delightful and goofy person who consumed her body weight in sugar every day. She won't be remembered as a statistic. She won't be thought of as Kyle Police Department Victim Services Coordinator whose life was taken. She will be remembered as Samantha Dean, friend and family.
Everyone tells me as time passes it'll get better, but I'm just not feeling that right now. I miss her so much.
Investigators quickly identified the father of Samantha's unborn daughter as 32-year-old Austin police officer Vontre Clark. The two had been in an on-and-off relationship for 7 years. Later that same evening, after Sam's body was discovered, Vontre was asked to come in and speak with a detective from the Bastrop County Sheriff's Office.
Mr. Clark, like I said, first and foremost, my condolences. I know you told me a little bit on the phone that, and we'll clarify exactly what relationship y'all had or didn't have, but regardless of the fact, you told me something critical on the phone, and that was that, she was carrying your baby. So my condolences, but I'm very grateful you're here so that way we can figure out, one, I get to know her a little bit more, know more about her life, and hopefully find out what happened to her. So with that said, tell me, how long have you known her?
I've known Sam for 6 years, maybe 7 years.
Vontre and Sam first met and started dating while they were both temporarily working for the pharmaceutical company PPD Development. A few years later, their paths crossed again after they had both moved into careers in law enforcement. Vontre told investigators that their relationship was never really built on love or serious commitment. According to him, it was purely physical, and he had kept the affair hidden from his longtime partner, Laura Touton. Vontre and Laura were raising 2 sons together.
When you started back with, or when you started with APD, you said y'all kind of picked that back up. Did it cause, I know these are uncomfortable questions, did it cause any friction with your current relationship, or did you just keep that secret to yourself?
I just kept it to myself.
Yes. When did Samantha get pregnant, or when did she tell you she was pregnant?
Sam told me she was pregnant Saturday morning. I want to say early August.
Early August.
I believe so.
Are you in a relationship right now? Or you were in a relationship then in August as well?
I'm sorry?
In August, when she told you that you're in a relationship, what did that cause you any stressors, or?
I haven't even said anything.
On the night Sam was murdered, Vontre told investigators that he had cooked dinner for his family. According to him, they finished eating at around 8:30 that evening.
And then at about 9:30, I left. I went to the school. We have a school right across the street. Mm-hmm. Actually, I live right across the street from Sam. I don't know if you know that, but we live fairly close together.
Okay.
So I left because in my current relationship, we're going through problems. So I left and just stayed out for a while, and I just chilled in my car, walked around for a little bit, and I ended up going to the police station.
Vontre said he made it back home around midnight. Surveillance cameras at the South substation of the Austin Police Department, where he claimed he had stopped to read reports, did confirm that he was there, but only for 23 minutes. However, cameras covering part of the elementary school property did not capture him near the building during the earlier hours, as he had claimed. Laura confirmed that he had not been home during that time either. She also told investigators something unusual. Vontre had left his cell phone at home.
Anything else? Can you think of anything else that you want to tell me that might help me? Or
the only thing, there's nothing that I know about Sam that I can think of that would help. Mm-hmm. But when I was talking to Stephanie earlier today, she mentioned some things about Sam called the police on someone, I guess a neighbor or something.
Stephanie
Burgess. It's Sam's best friend.
Vontre was placed on restricted duty with the Austin Police Department, and an internal investigation into his relationship with Samantha was also launched. Trey, or Trezzy as some of his friends called him, attended college first in Oklahoma and later in Texas before graduating from the Austin Police Academy in 2012 and joining the Austin Police Department. While he was still in the academy, the young officer even gave interviews to local news outlets, speaking about how much he respected Austin Police Chief Art Acevedo.
It's incredible. I mean, this is the guy you see on TV. This is the face of our department. It means a lot for him to come out and run with us because it shows us that he's behind us 100%.
Vontre's 3 years in law enforcement had already been filled with dramatic moments. During that time, he received 2 commendations and 1 3-day suspension. In December of 2012, he was suspended after a vehicle pursuit ended with him crashing and rolling his patrol car. The driver he had been chasing had run a red light. But the following year, the young officer rebuilt his reputation after becoming the first responder at an apartment complex fire. Reports said he went door to door, evacuating residents as quickly as possible and leading them to safety while calling for backup over the radio. Just a few weeks later, he was recognized again. After spotting a known sex offender asleep inside a rental car in North Austin, Vontre quickly came up with a plan to take him into custody. In that case, he was credited with almost certainly preventing another assault. The day after Sam's body was discovered, investigators carried out a detailed search of her home in South Austin. They also examined the data from her cell phone. Text messages exchanged between Sam and Vontre in the weeks and months leading up to her death revealed that Vontre had been pressuring her to get an abortion. He openly told her he did not want the baby and believed the child would ruin his life. Investigators learned that after years together, he considered Laura to be his common-law wife, and in his mind, the new baby threatened that relationship. The house where the couple lived together belonged to Laura. During the search of Sam's home, officers also discovered her journal. In it, she wrote that she feared for her life and believed Vontre Clark was going to kill her. She described an incident in January when he tied her up, supposedly as part of a sexual role-play scenario. But Vontre had stayed in full police uniform and never removed his service weapon. Later, Sam told a friend that in that moment she truly felt like he wanted to kill her. Even with all of that, Vontre was not immediately charged with her murder. Investigators in Bastrop County clearly considered him a suspect, but they were still building their case. As rumors about the investigation spread, many people close to Vontre Clark struggled to believe he could actually be involved. One of those people was Denise Hill, the mother of his closest and oldest friend.
Never heard her name before until I looked it up myself on the internet, and then I started reading everything, and I'm like, wow, I was just blown away. And I'm like, these people are crazy. They're going to let the real killer get away because they're totally going in the wrong direction.
Denise's son, Kevin Watson, had been so close to Vontre since their teenage years that the two considered each other brothers. Because of that, Denise saw Vontre as one of her own sons too. She was proud of both young men. Kevin had been an honor student who grew up to become an electrician, while Vontre was a standout athlete who went on to become a police officer.
They looked a lot alike at the time, and everybody thought they were brothers, so they just called themselves brothers. You know, Trey ate a lot of meals at our house. I got a police officer for a son, so I was very, very proud.
Over the following years, Kevin started struggling to keep steady work as an electrician and eventually began making money by dealing drugs. He also developed a criminal record. Even so, the two men, an Austin police officer and his so-called criminal brother, remained extremely close, and Kevin's mother continued supporting both of her sons.
My thought is, how much evidence would somebody have to show me to convince me that my son is heartless? Because that's pretty much what you're telling me. The Trey that I know, that I've known for 15 years, could not be capable of something this heinous. The Trey that I knew was, when I lived in Austin, he was just a sweet kid.
On February 8th, 5 days after Sam's body was found, one of her friends and coworkers received a threatening text message that referenced the murder. The message read, "I fucking got her, I'm gonna get him next, and then I'm coming for you. I'll show you what a real crisis looks like." Could that message have been sent by Sam's killer? At first glance, it seemed to push investigators toward a different theory. One focused on a man Sam had reportedly called police on just weeks before her death, at least according to Vontre, instead of focusing on him, the father of her unborn child. Samantha lived in South Austin, just north of Kyle, where she worked. Investigators still didn't understand what had brought her to Bastrop, roughly 30 miles east on the night she was killed. Data from Sam's cell phone, which was recovered from her Dodge Charger, showed her traveling to William Cannon Drive, where surveillance cameras at a convenience store captured her walking inside at 9:37 that night. On the footage, Samantha never appeared to use her phone, yet activity logs showed that someone else was using it to place a call at that exact time. The number it contacted exchanged several messages with Sam's phone later that night. Those messages instructed Sam to bring $120 and arranged a meeting near the shopping center in Bastrop. Surveillance video showed Samantha using the ATM inside the store and withdrawing $100 in cash. After that, her phone began moving east toward Bastrop. The phone number messaging Sam after 9:30 that night had only been activated earlier that same day. It was a prepaid burner phone. That evening, the device communicated with two separate phones. One was Sam's phone, and the other was another burner device. Investigators traced the purchase of the phone to a Walmart in Stafford, Texas, where surveillance footage captured a man in a red hoodie entering the store. The entire time he was shopping, the man stayed on a cell phone call. He bought another prepaid phone, walked outside, got into a white Toyota, and drove away. Detectives were able to read the Toyota's license plate from the video and discovered the vehicle was registered to a woman named Kyla Fisk. Kyla was the common-law wife of Kevin Watson, the man Vontre had considered his brother since childhood. It didn't take investigators long to confirm that the man in the red hoodie was Vontre's closest friend. Once detectives identified the first burner phone, connections between other prepaid devices began exposing a complicated communication network that had been active for weeks leading up to the murder. The second burner phone that communicated with the first one had also been calling and texting a third unregistered prepaid number. On top of that, it had contacted Kyla Fisk's personal cell phone. One of those three burner phones was the same device police found inside Sam's car. At that point, every number connected to those three devices became a target of the investigation as detectives slowly uncovered what appeared to be a carefully planned conspiracy. At the time of Sam's death, her phone and all three identified burner phones were operating near the same cell tower close to the abandoned shopping center. After the night of the murder, none of those devices were ever used again. Kyla Fisk was eventually brought in for questioning. Investigators learned that one of the burner phones purchased by her husband had called not only her, but also Vontre Clark before the number was later changed, likely in an attempt to cover up the mistake of contacting personal registered phones. But when detectives questioned Kyla, she claimed she didn't even know Vontre Clark.
We'd like to ask about this other number that was called. Another person was called on that phone before that phone apparently changed numbers or something. We'd like to ask you about.
My phone changed numbers?
No, the 213 phone. Yeah, it called do you know a Vontre Clark? Yeah. Does that mean something to you all? He may go by Trey. This guy, he's an Austin police officer. Does that ring a bell?
Oh, no.
Okay. The number apparently called your number, and they called it Vontre Clark, and then the number was changed to a different number on the same day. Whoever bought the phone and was using the phone changed the phone number after he contacted you and this Vontre Clark guy. So I didn't know it. Those people.
Kyla received 2 calls from those burner phones on the night of the murder. One came earlier in the evening, while investigators could still confirm that she was at home. The second call came much later, close to 4 o'clock in the morning.
So it's been a kind of a late night call, I don't know if you get calls late at night or not, but it's not like it. Well, it was just after midnight, the second call from that other number, but it seems a little unusual that, 2 numbers that were, we have reason to believe a little Bastrop was calling you. You can't think of what that might have been about or nothing rings a bell.
Yeah, at 4 or 5 of them, she called about the answer.
Yeah, it appears you answered the call. Does anybody else use your phone? I guess we haven't asked you that.
3 burner phones had been used for communication between the people involved in the conspiracy, but investigators had only managed to identify 2 users. If one phone belonged to Vontre and another to Kevin, it still wasn't clear who had been using the third device. Kyla Fisk was at home in Houston, where she lived with Kevin Watson, when the murder took place, so it appeared that the third phone was not in her possession. However, her personal phone, along with the 2 other burner devices, had also been in contact with another personal number belonging to Freddie Lee Smith, a longtime friend of Kevin's. After receiving several missed calls from the burner phone believed to be used by Vontre, Kevin sent Freddie Smith a message saying that Trey, or Trezzy, as they called him, was trying to reach him. Freddie had an extensive criminal history. Reports also identified him as a member of the Hoover Gangster Crips. He seemed like a very likely candidate for the third burner phone, although investigators still lacked direct proof. Law enforcement set up wiretaps to monitor communications between everyone connected to the case. They listened to conversations for months. The wiretaps never produced the direct confession or smoking gun evidence that investigators in Bastrop County had hoped for. But the recorded calls did confirm many of the suspicions detectives already had. In one conversation between Kevin and Freddie, Kevin explained that he had made a mistake by placing calls from one of the burner phones and later changed the number in an attempt to hide the call history. It appeared that on the night of the murder, Kevin had driven from his home in Houston to pick up Freddie, but forgot the address of Freddie's house. Because of that, Kevin called Kyla from his burner phone and asked her to look up directions. The recordings showed that while talking to Kevin, Kyla was also calling Freddie at the same time, then relayed the directions to Freddie's house back to Kevin.
Yeah, what's up? Bro, I got it. What's up? The phone. Yeah, I already know. So we need to change numbers, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like anybody that called, which one number? I talked to Kyla and I talked to you. Yeah. All for that? Yeah, you remember? Because I was looking for your house. Fuck.
In July of 2015, investigators finally got a major break in the case. It came after they identified the phone used to send the anonymous threatening message to Sam's coworker just days after the murder. That phone had also been purchased at a Walmart, this time in Katy, Texas. Surveillance footage captured two men walking into the store, buying the phone, returning to their vehicle, and driving away. Once again, the license plate led investigators back to one of Kevin Watson's friends, this time a man named Aaron Williams. The two men had purchased the phone together. Investigators charged Aaron with intimidation for sending the threatening message. While he was being held in Bastrop County, detectives began pressuring him to talk. They already knew Aaron had been with Kevin when the message was sent. Now they wanted to know exactly what Kevin had told him about the murder.
We know that you know a lot more than what you're telling us. It's very apparent through the phone conversations you've had with Kevin, through your behavior, through everything else, that you know what's going on.
What we're asking today is we want to know what these other people did, what he saw them do, what he knows what they do. That's what we're asking.
What they told him.
What they told him, because he knows on the phone calls we've recorded, he's mentioned their names. He's talked about, putting the pieces, they talked about it, they're not putting the pieces together yet. They're not linking you to these people yet. There's a lot of stuff that was talked about in phone calls that leads us to believe he knows about what happened 5 days prior to them going to Bastrop and sending that threat.
After repeatedly insisting that he knew nothing, Aaron eventually told investigators everything he had heard from Kevin about Vontre Clark and the officer's desire to kill Samantha Dean.
I don't know his real name, but that he was married and I guess he got that girl pregnant and she didn't want to give it up.
Okay, and when you say Treasy, I know you don't really know his real name. What do you know about Treasy?
I don't know nothing about him.
You don't know where he lives or what he does? Or
I know he's a cop and lives in Austin.
Okay, so if Treasy's a cop in Austin, it's a friend of Kevin's.
Yeah.
So Trey, the Austin police officer, was Kevin's friend. Aaron told investigators that, as far as he understood, Vontre had paid Freddie, and possibly Kevin as well, $5,000 to kill Samantha.
And he told me that they killed the girl. I don't know.
Did he tell you who actually pulled the trigger?
No, he didn't tell me who.
You just said they?
Yeah, they went out there and they went out there to kill that girl. And Tree was gonna pay him some money to do it. I don't know if he did or not.
Did he say how much he was gonna pay?
I think $5,000.
A piece or all together?
I don't know.
I
don't know. And that's what he told me.
So they basically told you that they
just went out there.
They went out there and killed her.
Yeah.
They being Kevin and Freddie.
Yeah.
Aaron vaguely remembered Kevin talking about how they staged the crime scene to make it look like a drug deal gone wrong. He also said the group panicked after realizing they had left something behind at the scene, either a phone or a weapon. According to Aaron, he got the impression that the murder had been planned for a long time.
I would guess it would be planned out for a while.
What would make you think that?
I mean, I don't know how far along she was. Well, he told me she was close to giving birth, so He told me that like that Teresa was like he didn't want the baby, and I didn't know how far along she was. But he told me he kept trying to tell her not to have it, and I guess she didn't want to listen or didn't want to get rid of it. He told me that the girl said she was gonna ruin his life and stuff like that. But I never knew how far along she was, so I never knew how far back, if he was planning or doing anything like that.
After Aaron was arrested and began cooperating with police, it became clear that everything was starting to fall apart for Vontre Clark. That same month, the Austin Police Department ordered him to appear for a meeting with Internal Affairs, but Vontre refused to show up. Austin Police Chief Art Acevedo, the same man Vontre had openly praised just a few years earlier, held a press conference announcing that the officer had been fired because of confirmed ties to criminals and insubordination. The former officer failed to comply with the order to attend the Internal Affairs meeting because he had fled the country.
The department learned, actually earlier this week, the department learned that he had left the country. He is last known to have arrived in Jakarta, Indonesia, the city of Jakarta, Indonesia. It's a city of probably about 10 million people. It is a city in a country, or a city in a country that does not have an extradition treaty with the United States. I'm sure Mr. Clark will find this press conference. I have a message to you. If you have any dignity, if you have any semblance of humanity left in you, Mr. Clark, get back on that plane and come back here to Austin. If you're innocent, prove it. Come over here and face the music.
A few days later, a warrant was issued for Vontre's arrest, but carrying it out was impossible without coordination and approval from authorities in Indonesia. The FBI then began the long process of negotiating his extradition back to the United States.
I'm looking forward to the day that the Dean family gets justice. And I can tell you that I hope that that justice comes quickly, because what happened to that beautiful woman and her baby, there's no excuse for it. It's despicable.
Meanwhile, investigators continued making new arrests as they worked to strengthen the case. Kevin Watson was taken into custody on drug charges while prosecutors pursued a capital murder indictment against him. Despite all the pressure from investigators, Kyla Fisk continued insisting that she knew nothing about the murder.
Our case on Kevin is made. You can ask me some questions if you like about that. I'll try to answer what I can if you're doubting that.
You're saying phones that were used in something like this?
Yes. They contacted the victim that night to arrange a meeting at the murder scene with very specifics about where to meet. And there's just no question in that. And we know he had the phone. There's still other information out there that could be valuable on this.
This is just not that person. This is not that person. I don't believe, like I read.
One of the biggest problems with Kyla's claims of innocence was that her actions after the murder directly contradicted what she was telling investigators. For example, she had already lied to police during her first interview. Later, during a recorded jail visit, Kevin asked her to get rid of some stained clothing he said he had worn during an electrical job a few months earlier. In reality, he was talking about the red hoodie and gray sweatpants he had been seen wearing on the day of the murder.
But if you're just some dumb person, don't know anything, you wouldn't be going to the extent to cover things up like you're doing. I mean, that's
because people are coming after me who have cases. People are asking questions. People are asking questions about somebody I love.
But the only thing we asked you in the interview was we asked you about 3 phones and if you knew Vontre Clark, and you lied about all 4 of them. Well, it sounded like when y'all talked from the jail and he talked about this electrician job he did 3 months ago and told you to get rid of that stained hoodie and sweatpants. Mm-hmm. Sound like you knew exactly what he was talking about on that phone call.
You got rid of it.
Yeah, I said you'd already got rid of it. Don't worry about it.
I did. I got rid of all this shit out of there.
What'd you do with it?
It's gone.
Where?
That's what I'm talking about, Kyla. You're not being completely honest with us.
Kyla Fisk was eventually arrested and charged with tampering with evidence for destroying Kevin's stained clothing. About 5 weeks later, the FBI secured Vontre Clark's return from Bali. He was initially detained for violating visa regulations, but far more serious charges were waiting for him once he got back to the United States. He was placed on a Department of Justice aircraft that landed in Austin, Texas, shortly after midnight on September 2nd.
Former Austin police officer Vontre Clark was taken into custody pursuant to an arrest warrant for the offense of capital murder at 12:03 a.m. on today's date.
Samantha was part of our law enforcement family here in Central Texas. We thought we had to go to great lengths to do what we could do to bring back Vontre Clark in the interest of justice.
Samantha Dean, wonderful individual. This should not have happened.
The indictments against Vontre Clark and Kevin Watson were handed down before prosecutors had fully resolved the case involving Freddie Smith. At that point, investigators still did not completely understand the exact role each of the three men had played in Samantha's murder. The prosecution's announcement that it intended to seek the death penalty only raised the stakes even higher. The first person willing to come forward with a believable and consistent version of events could potentially strike a deal with prosecutors, testify against the others involved, and possibly save his own life. Eventually, both brothers sat down for lengthy interviews with state prosecutors. Each man gave his own version of what happened, hoping to secure a deal. To almost everyone's surprise, Vontre began by claiming he was innocent and making unsupported accusations about Samantha and the circumstances surrounding her pregnancy.
Tell us what you want us to know.
I did not kill Samantha Dean, and that's where I'm at right now. That's what I'm charged with. That's what I'm facing. I remember the day. I wake up on a Saturday morning. I guess it was September. To a text from Sam, and it says something like, "I need to talk to you." Okay, tell me, what do you need to talk to me about? I'm afraid to tell you. Just tell me. She tells me she's pregnant.
No, actually, you guessed she was pregnant, right?
Was it me?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. If you're saying it was.
Yeah, I mean, we have the text.
Okay, well, so I guess she was pregnant. I don't want to have a child with her. I don't want to have that type of relationship with her. So I told her I'll come talk to her. And at that point, she tells me that how she got pregnant. She took the condom and she turned it inside out, and she used the condom to get pregnant. That's what set this whole thing off. That's when I said, I'm going to hurt this girl. I ended up telling Kevin that I got this girl pregnant and I wasn't going to let her have this baby. And I was going to do something to her. At the time, I didn't know what, but I had planned to kill this girl.
Yeah.
Vontre described 2 earlier occasions when he had allegedly planned to kill Sam but ultimately could not go through with it. One of those incidents was the same event Samantha later wrote about in her journal. Vontre said he tied her up while pretending it was part of a sexual game. He handcuffed her in the back seat of a car and planned to run a hose from the exhaust pipe into the vehicle, leaving her there to die. But at the last moment, he backed out. Eventually, Kevin offered to help. According to Vontre, Kevin said he would find Freddie Smith to carry out the murder.
He had talked to Freddie and that Freddie was willing to do it.
And Freddie is Freddie who?
Smith. He tells me, Kevin told me about the girl, and he says that if you want to get it done, I'll kill the girl for you. And he said, you pay me 15,000, 15 racks is what he said. And I'll get this to go away for you, or get her to go away for you.
Vontre denied ever agreeing to the arrangement, claiming he understood that if he did, he would become guilty of murder himself. But at the same time, he made it clear that he still wanted Sam dead. So on February 3rd, when Kevin was with him in Austin and asked for a ride to Sam's house, Vontre agreed. The former officer then gave investigators a version of events that shifted most of the blame onto his closest friend. According to Vontre, Kevin and Freddie Smith decided to handle the problem for him. Vontre claimed he watched Kevin walk up to Sam's door and convince her to leave with him in her own car. When the Dodge Charger returned sometime later, it did not pull back into the driveway. Instead, it stopped farther down the street. Kevin stepped out of the back seat. According to Vontre, someone else was now behind the wheel, not Sam. He assumed it was Freddie. By that point, Sam was probably already dead. Vontre insisted that he never witnessed the actual murder. He claimed he simply sat in his own car near the house, waiting for them to come back.
I'm not understanding this part at all, about why would she park somewhere other than her house.
It wasn't Sam that parked her car.
He's saying Kevin's in the car. Kevin and Freddie in the car. That's what you just said earlier, right?
Yeah.
But the phone records directly contradicted Vontre's version of events.
On the 3rd, is your personal phone is geolocating at Bastrop the day before. So what were you doing down there then?
That's not possible.
That's what the records show. A couple of days, your phone is showing to be down there, and then that's when the text comes in. I thought you had a place picked out. Is what Kevin's asking you.
Phone. And it's your 1168 number phone.
So at some point, you were down there in Bastrop.
When it was Kevin Watson's turn to speak, he told investigators a completely different story. He described how Vontre's obsession with Samantha's pregnancy grew more intense in the months leading up to her death. According to Kevin, Vontre constantly talked about how the baby would ruin his life. Eventually, it became the only thing he could focus on, repeating over and over that she had to go.
At some point, she posted a sonogram on Facebook. And I think that this was around the time that he goes crazy and, becomes starts really pressing about this issue. You got Freddie's number? I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, look, man, I really need to, get rid of this girl. You think Freddie be interested? I was like, I can give you his number. He might be.
Kevin knew Freddie through his criminal connections. Kevin sold drugs, and Freddie was a thief who was rumored to have killed people before. That was how Kevin introduced his brother to his friend, the alleged killer, and the three of them began putting together a plan. The idea was to lure Sam to a predetermined location where Freddie would shoot her, then stage the scene to look like a drug deal gone wrong. They bought a bag of marijuana because, according to Kevin, it was cheap, and Vontre did not want to spend any more money than necessary.
People usually don't get killed over a little amount of weed.
He doesn't know that. He watches TV.
Vontre convinced Sam to meet with a supposed seller of a new iPad for $120. He texted her from a burner phone and directed her to the shopping center parking lot to make the purchase.
How did Trey convince her to leave that house with him, 7 months pregnant, at that time of night, and go out to Bastrop for...
To buy a tablet?
Yes, sir.
I don't know. So as far as I know, he was meeting us under the guise of buying a tablet. That's what I do know.
Vontre drove with Sam to the shopping center parking lot. Once they arrived and parked, Kevin dropped Freddie off with a .25 caliber handgun. After that, Kevin drove around the surrounding area in circles while waiting for a call to return. According to Kevin, Freddie initially tried to shoot Sam in the back of the head, but the gun jammed. Freddie then told her that he had forgotten the charger for the tablet and needed to leave briefly before coming back. He called Kevin to pick him up. The two stopped at a gas station, where Freddie fixed the handgun. After repairing it, he fired a test shot out of the car window. They then returned to Sam, who was still sitting in her vehicle, completely unaware that Freddie had already tried to kill her once before. Later, Freddie told Kevin that he climbed into the back seat and shot Sam twice in the head. Then he handed the gun to Vontre, who fired one final shot.
Freddie's like, this fucking guy. And he, jokes about him, panicking and all that stuff a little bit. And he tells me about how he was in the back seat and he shot her twice. Bam, bam. And then Trey wanted the gun. And then he handed Trey the gun. And Trey he said something crazy and then shot her once. And that's pretty much what happened. And he's like, that's why we couldn't find a third fucking case, because this guy can't even find a case.
When you say said something crazy, any idea what that would be? Do you remember it all?
Something like "fuck you, bitch" or something, some TV shit. Something that people don't really do.
Investigators were only able to recover 2 shell casings from the car. The conspirators could not find the third one. They removed the back seat and moved Samantha's body around while searching for it, but they never recovered the missing casing. Afterward, they stopped along a rural road where Freddie and Vontre changed clothes and packed everything into a disposal bag, including the clothing, shell casings, gloves, and burner phones. Once it was over, everyone went home. Vontre drove back to Austin, while Kevin made the 2-hour drive back to Houston.
Let's go back to changing clothes.
Right.
Some point we got another case.
Right. This is where we find
Okay. Wait for it. Wait for it. I'm sorry.
So, yeah, then the clothes he changed. So when he pops up the thing, he's like, oh fuck. The casing, what the fuck was the casing that was in my pants? In your pants? Fucking moron. Right.
But their mistakes were far from over. After Kevin returned to Houston, he got a message from Freddie saying the gun was missing. They believed they needed to go back to Bastrop and search for it. At the same time, Vontre was focused on something else. He drove straight to the Austin Police Department, trying to establish an alibi for himself. Kevin went back to his car to head toward Bastrop, but around 4 o'clock in the morning, he realized he had locked his keys inside the vehicle. He called Kyla, hoping she had a spare set. She didn't. So Kevin smashed the window and started driving back toward Bastrop to look for the weapon. But by the time he arrived, sheriff's deputies were already processing the scene. Kevin turned around and drove back to Houston. That was when he discovered the gun had been in the car the entire time. For hours, he had unknowingly been driving around with the murder weapon wedged between the driver's seat and the center console. The gun had slipped from Vontre's waistband while they were leaving the crime scene. It remains unclear exactly when the group realized they had also left one of the burner phones behind at the scene.
On the side of the damn, on the driver's side from when Trey was driving the car.
Mm-hmm.
It fell like right here.
Oh, in your car?
Right. So when we hopped out the car at Freddie's house, I looked down, I'm like, fucking gun right here.
And you'd already gone to Bastrop?
I'd already gone to Bastrop and came back. Freddie's making fun of Trey because he's the worst fucking criminal anybody's ever seen. It's pretty much what it amounts to. He's like, this guy, he's fucking jumpy, he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. You know, he's just fucking scary. He's a really bad crook. You know, the reason why you're a cop and not a crook, because you're a really bad crook. You know, one of those things.
Kevin Watson personally walked county investigators through the route they had taken on the night of the murder. Step by step, he pointed out locations that he claimed were connected to the events of that night. For detectives, it became a critical part of the investigation because they were able to compare his account with the evidence and timeline they had already built. The atmosphere during the drive remained tense. Every stop forced investigators to revisit details of a crime that had haunted both detectives and Samantha's family for years. They drove past the shopping center connected to the case before heading toward a gas station. According to Kevin, that was the place where Freddie Smith repaired the handgun after it jammed. Investigators carefully documented every detail of the route, trying to reconstruct the exact sequence of events from that night. After that, Kevin pointed out a nearby location around the corner where he claimed Freddie fired a test shot from the weapon. That detail became another important piece of the overall case. For detectives, statements like these carried special weight because they allowed investigators to measure how closely Kevin's story matched the physical evidence and forensic findings. With every new stop along the route, the reality of what happened that night became even darker, reminding everyone involved how carefully investigators were trying to reconstruct every moment of the murder.
We're sitting right here at this light. Yeah, that's what I was talking about, because it doesn't look like we're going anywhere. We're waiting to see if there's any cars, so we're taking a left. Shoes.
Kevin Watson's version of events was supported by the evidence, witness testimony, and the overall findings of the investigation. His statements matched the facts detectives had spent years piecing together. Vontre Clark's version, however, was not supported by the evidence. Investigators were unable to find proof that backed up his explanation of what happened, and that became a major problem for his defense. Eventually, Kevin Watson agreed to make a deal with prosecutors. He pleaded guilty to capital murder in exchange for a sentence that allowed the possibility of parole after 35 years in prison. The agreement became one of the most important turning points in the case. By cooperating with prosecutors, Kevin agreed to testify against both Vontre Clark and Freddie Smith. His testimony carried enormous weight because he had been directly involved in the events of that night. Prosecutors viewed his statements as a critical part of the case, something that could help jurors fully understand how the murder unfolded. Inside the courtroom, every detail of Kevin's story drew intense attention because so much of the trial depended on his testimony. With Kevin now cooperating, prosecutors formally charged Freddie Smith with capital murder as well. For investigators, it marked another major step forward in a case that had remained complicated and deeply tangled for years. Prosecutors believed the combined evidence and witness testimony directly connected Freddie to the crime. Even so, Freddie Smith continued insisting that he was innocent. Despite the arrest, interrogations, and court proceedings, he never admitted involvement in Samantha's murder. Throughout the entire process, his position remained unchanged, while his defense team worked to challenge the credibility and motives of the people cooperating with investigators.
Have you ever heard there's an old saying that 3 people can keep a secret as long as 2 of them are dead? You ever heard that saying?
I've heard it before.
Okay. So we didn't just by accident show up 4.5 years after a murder and arrest you. We obviously received information from somebody. So you have an opportunity to talk about this today.
Man, whatever information you receive is not, it can't be, if y'all are charging me for this, it can't be accurate because I had nothing to do with it.
Even though
Freddie Smith went on trial in June of 2022, nearly a decade after the events that led to the case. The proceedings had been delayed multiple times because of major disruptions caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. For Samantha's family, that meant even more years of painful waiting, uncertainty, and being forced to relive a tragedy that never truly faded into the past. During a search of Freddie Smith's phone, investigators discovered a photograph taken back in 2013. The image showed 2 .25 caliber handguns. At first glance, it may have looked like an ordinary picture of weapons, but for investigators, it became an important detail that would later be presented directly to the jury in court. A forensic ballistics expert gave detailed testimony about the bullets recovered from Samantha Dean's body. According to the expert, all of them had been fired from the same gun. The specialist also explained to jurors that one of the pistols shown in the photograph from Freddie's phone matched the type of firearm capable of leaving the rifling marks found on the bullets in the case. Those technical findings became one of the key parts of the prosecution's evidence and added an even darker layer to the story surrounding Samantha's murder. Kevin Watson and his wife, Kyla Fisk, also testified during the trial. The charges against Kyla had been dropped several years earlier. Investigators had long believed she knew far more than she admitted during questioning. At the same time, law enforcement ultimately concluded that any information she had about the crime came after the murder had already taken place. Because of that, prosecutors did not consider her part of the conspiracy itself. Even so, her name remained connected to the investigation for years as more details about the complicated case continued to surface. In the end, Freddie Smith was found guilty. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. For prosecutors, it marked the conclusion of one of the longest and most difficult chapters of a case that had remained in the spotlight for years because of repeated delays, hearings, and the complicated process of gathering evidence. Later, Vontre Clark also admitted guilt. For years, his attorneys had secured numerous delays while preparing for a potential death penalty trial. His defense team used nearly every available pretrial strategy in an effort to avoid the harshest possible sentence. Each new postponement dragged the case out even further after it had already stretched across years. His court-appointed defense ended up costing the county hundreds of thousands of dollars. The case involved complicated legal procedures, lengthy pretrial hearings, and constant procedural disputes, all of which highlighted just how massive and complex the criminal proceedings had become. In the end, the plea agreement spared Samantha Dean's family from having to endure another exhausting trial and listen once again to the details of the tragedy inside a courtroom. At the same time, Vontre Clark avoided the death penalty. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, finally bringing an end to a years-long case that left a lasting impact on everyone connected to it.
I really don't like the word closure, because closure to me means that everything has been taken care of and we would go back home and Sammy would be there and Maddie would be riding around on her bike, but that's not the case. What this is a resolution. We have resolved from what we started with 7.5 years ago.